Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, can you turn up though? Like, can you
turn up the bit more reverb on the vocals.
Reverb.
Yeah. No, just kidding.
I don't even know that I can.
It sounds louder.
You look like you have like the full podcasting setup going there.
I know.
I don't know, man. Got this little bullshit thing.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone! It's Friday night.
Hi.
We're back. It's Friday again.
Hey.
Friday comes around quick these days. That's what happens when you get old. A week.
Right.
Right. Hey. No, he's not drinking milk tonight. He's drinking. Cheers, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. It's going to be a great show, as always. Episode 101. What you're listening to. Right. As usual, we've each got 5 picks, 5 records. We're going to have a good time talking about. Got some new blood tonight. I'm excited. Some new blood. It's always good to have some new blood on the show.
Well, thanks for
Chris
having
is
me.
Here. Thanks for coming on, man. Appreciate it.
Old bodies, new blood.
Old new blood,
yeah,
yes.
Man. This is great. This is like just to catch up with you all, with Ebro especially, man. This is a good way to do it.
Yeah,
we haven't seen each other on a camera or in person in a long ass time. So yeah,
maybe the Cobra Lounge night.
So that's been a minute now.
Pandemic is so weird. It so fucks with your sense of time. You know, like that was a few years before that. So that means that was like 7 years ago. That's crazy.
Wow.
Right, and so just add another 4 or 5 years onto everything that happened before that. So
for sure.
John, thanks for coming on. John.
Yeah, John.
Oh, yeah, thanks. Thanks for having me.
This is going to be great.
Yeah. It looked like you were looking like in the lower corner, and I was like...
He's talking to the other John. Like,
I'm always looking at you when I'm talking to you.
The one that's paying attention. Talk to that guy more.
I thought you were being mysterious.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Are you supposed to read? Hey, Woodford. Hi, Woody.
Yeah, Woody's here. Woody's always here.
What's the etiquette when people say stuff in this corner here?
I take control of that.
Okay.
You guys don't say anything like, hey,
someone says something interesting,
but you can't acknowledge.
I do this. Right. I'll do this. I'll bring it up like this. Like that.
This is very professional.
Wow.
I can tell you've done this at least 100
You don't make it to the 100.
After like 100 times, I've learned how to do
that. Dialed in.
Bring up the
I'm glad you waited 100 episodes to have me on. Like, I appreciate your patience.
It's called pro attitude and pro, I don't know, something.
Smoke and mirrors. Shall we get going?
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
All right, let's get into it.
Hey, Jeff's here. Let's
I'm going to talk about like 3 Donuts records tonight. That's
I know this is like. Are there 5 Donuts records? Because that's what John's going to be talking about. So you're ready.
I mean, there should be, but there isn't.
Are you guys kidding?
I am not kidding that John would choose 5 Donut records to listen to and talk about. But
I mean, I would spread them out. I assume I'm going to be back on the show like in the future, so I'll spread out the Donuts records.
One at a time.
Yeah, I'm not going to do it all on the first time.
You'll be on episode 202, and then
I'll be like, all right, this is Feel Me Bleed.
On that one.
Like, the second album on Victory Records.
Yeah. Another classic from the Donuts on Classic Victory Records. So.
Total classic.
Right.
It's, revolutionized the genre.
Right. Of terrible music.
I have absolutely no idea what you guys are talking about.
I love this. I love this already. This is what I needed this shit.
Well, just wait till episode 201. You're going to know a lot.
All right. So
y'all are next level smartasses. So I don't even know when you're kidding. It takes me a minute sometimes.
Okay. So there was this Swedish mosh metal group called Donuts.
Okay.
They were all female, and I don't know if you've
from Umeå, Sweden.
Yeah, well, and also if you've heard that, have you heard that band The Vicious?
Yeah,
and I think Mass Hysteria. One of the women one of the women who played guitar for Donuts ended up being in the Vicious, but Donuts were like, like, you know, it's like it was like mosh metal, like Victory Records mosh metal.
Interesting.
So John loves them.
Okay.
And the rest, everyone else does not. So it's like we kind of give him shit about it. So
there you go.
See, there you go.
It's just like a huge heap of compliments, honestly, because it's like I legitimately like the Age of the Circle album. I actually legitimately like it. The follow-up isn't that good. No, but I mean, I thought they were actually, you know, pretty all right. So,
damn.
Okay,
I mean, like,
so let's
talk about other bands. We'll get to the donuts later. Like, there's plenty of time to talk about donuts in like 20 minutes, probably.
Right.
So let's just move on.
All right.
Okay.
Jordan's here. Jordan's in the chat. He's watching. Jordan last week on episode 100 was talking about Carboners. The Carboners. Apparently they're great. I have not yet heard the Carboners. I'm a bit behind.
Okay.
But I remember I have a record by a band which has at least one Carboner in this band. I was like, shit, I'm going to go listen to this record.
Okay.
I'm talking about the Ex-Humans.
Okay. Yeah, no, I haven't heard that.
I don't know.
I hadn't heard it until about a week. It's been sat like on the shelf for months and months and months. I'd never got to it. Bought it a couple of months ago. Put it on. The ex-Carboners member, I think just one guy, I think, Josh Martin. The design is by Gigi King, who was also in Carboners. I don't know really what I was expecting. I was really surprised. It's fucking great. It's like, it's that thing again, and it's like the melodic kind of poppy garage punk, which I kind of call Dirt Nap Records.
Okay.
Punk. You know, the Red Dons, the Marked Men, all that kind of stuff, right? It kind of falls into that category. Short band, one album, 2 singles, then they're all gone. Yeah.
When did it come
This
out?
came out in 2010, and it's on Rob's House Records, which I don't know too much about. But yeah, I mean, if Carboners are as good as this, or not even as good as this, or better than this, then I'm kind of in for a treat. I can't wait to check out the Carboners, because this is great.
Yeah,
and it's just ex-Carboners.
Yeah,
ex-human.
Are they ex-Carbonas or are they pre-Carbonas? Are the Carbonas happening at the same time? Or
I think it must be ex. That's a good question, actually. When did the Carbonas records come out, Jordan? This is 2010. So, yeah. I'm guessing this is after the Carbonas. I'm guessing.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's like all the best bits of like hooky garage punk, 77 punk, early LA, like snotty hardcore, old LA punk. Every song's a hit single in an alternate universe.
Right on. Where were they from? They're from
I don't know. Where were the Carbonas from?
I heard the name. I honestly don't remember.
I'm assuming the same area.
Yeah, right on. Somewhere in the United States.
American. They're in America.
They're somewhere in America. Now that Trump is president, America is going to like spread even further or whatever, so there we go.
All right. Okay, there we go. We're getting some intel about the Carbonas.
Georgia. You think?
Thanks, Michael. Mikey.
That explains why I'm not familiar with it.
Atlanta, Georgia. Okay. And then, Christ, it's blown up. I can't keep up.
Yeah. Too many.
Okay. Yeah. 2008, Carbonas broke up. So there you go.
Okay.
That's my first pick. I've been really enjoying this. I can't wait.
Over there.
It's a great record. Like, I
right on.
Actually hear the Carbonas, which I'm hoping, if the Carbonas are not better than this, I'm going to be disappointed. This is great.
Yeah. Nice. That's a lot to live up to,
right?
The mentioning of the Carbonas in terms of whether they're pre or post ex-humans, and then it better live up to what, I don't know.
Great. My favorite song is the last song. It's kind of longer. They kind of stretch out a little bit.
It's
super hooky chorus. Great record. Check out the Ex-Humans on Rob's House Records. Atlanta, Georgia.
Right on.
This is where they're from, as we just found out. There you go.
Cool.
All right. Chris.
Hi. Hi. How's it going?
What's your first pick? First record of the day.
All right. I intentionally steered away from that Cure record because I probably could, but I figure everybody probably could right about now. So I didn't do that. But that's pretty significant to me, man, just to say this before we get into that, because I'm sure people have different takes on it. But considering this isn't what I'm about to show either, but can we for a second? Yeah.
Sure.
Like I love that band growing up. I saw them on Disintegration. And it's just amazing to me because I love all those ones like Faith, 17 Seconds, all those early, really dreary, really stripped down ones.
Right.
And then Pornography was like head and shoulders like bump up in songwriting and in quality of everything. And then I kind of drop out for like the middle of the 80s stuff. Like I liked it at the time, but I didn't. Really, Disintegration was just like a friggin' atom bomb of like pretty and sad at the same time. So it's amazing to me that they finally got around. Like they're just on their own schedule. But that Songs of the Lost World, the timing, and whenever that dude's got awful shit going on in his real life, it just like comes. I hate to say it's his best shit. And I guess a lot of that happened in the lead up to this. So that thing's been blowing my mind lately. Like I know it'll come apart in layers over time. I just, when you think about how much time that's been, like even Disintegration was like 30 plus years ago now. So that's pretty monumental for any band like that.
It's weird to think of all the shit that like, oh, that doesn't feel like that was 35 years ago, but 36 years ago now or whatever. And it was.
I saw that shit in high school. It was with the Pixies and Love and Rockets, and it was probably 89 or 90. So yeah, it was. And the Pixies, nobody even hardly knew yet. They were just like afterthought opening band. It was wild.
Yeah, right on.
But anyway, glad you stayed away from that Cure record. It's boring. You shut up. You shut your hot mouth, Paul Bayer. All right. So.
All right, what you got?
Piss Jeans, the new one.
Oh, right on.
Oh,
that Half Divorced by Piss Jeans. I don't know if you've had a lot of that. I didn't see it in your list, but I've been loving this. Yeah, cool. I don't know, man. Like obviously their early stuff, like that Painkiller one, those were great. It's just a neat. I don't know. It's not its own genre. It's just like this great kind of smart ass post Tim and Eric fucking hardcore. I don't know what you even called that shit, but they went through so many they went through a lot of phases too. And I'm just really impressed. This thing, have you guys heard this thing yet?
I haven't heard it yet.
No. It's actually got some, what?
No, I was just saying I saw them last year. The Sarah and Jeff Rice and Brian and Scott's band played with them.
Oh, cool.
At the Empty Bottle or whatever, and they were good. Yeah, I was like, I hadn't seen them. Fuck, it'd been a while since the last time I'd seen them. So like, I don't think I even realized that they were still playing. But yeah, they were good at that show or whatever.
I think that's part of what I think is really impressive to me about it for a band like that. And most like hardcore bands, especially ones that are such kind of smart ass like that, it seems like it's so unserious that and I mean they're always staggeringly good, especially the drumming. But
yeah,
I don't know. It's amazing to see a band go that far because I know what it's like to be in bands. And after a while, like, what are we doing? Are we trying to be professional musicians? And you're not. But
I mean, I think doing stuff on like Sub Pop or whatever, it makes it a little bit, that you've got a little bit of more of a support base to like to do. You can do the tours and you can like, put out your records and people can find them and like stuff like that. Yeah. It's like so that makes it a little bit easier. But they also just hadn't done something, and so it'd been a minute that I remember. Like I guess the record before that had been a while since that one, so I wasn't even sure if they were still playing or what they were. But yeah, they ended up playing at the Empty Bottle, and it was they played 2 nights, and the first night Jesus as were playing. Speaking of another band that started playing again, and they were amazing because I hadn't seen them in whatever 30 years or whatever, and they tore everything down or whatever. But then we went the next night to hang out and check out Consensus Madness playing with Piss Jeans, and Piss Jeans were really good at that show too.
That's cool. Nice. Yeah, this thing's got a bunch of neat, I want to say new territory or something that's like slightly anthemic and kind of poppy. I don't know how else to say it. There's some stuff it's like they're tuneful when they want to be, but there's some on this that are really like surprisingly different, but they pull it off really, really well. Like it's got surprises in it somehow for a band at that stage and of that type.
I actually just bought my first ever Piss Jeans record like last week.
But
I'm a newbie, and it was this one.
Okay.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is going to be my entry level to Piss Jeans.
I'd go to Shallow. That first one, that 12-inch Shallow. Was that? Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's what it was called. Yeah, you're like freezing up or whatever, man. Do you have other? Yeah, do you have other shit?
Yeah.
Opening.
I just got all my just a lot of snuff and pornography. Should I close some? Or?
Oh yeah, maybe turn off the
get rid of that
stuff porn or whatever, and
the
then
Pornhub is probably slowing everything down.
Yeah. I know it's hard to do things and not have that playing or whatever, but maybe
it's like keeps my attention, Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
It helps you to focus.
Keeps you locked in.
Right.
Yeah. So that's my first. Is that how you want?
Nice.
Is that how we do?
That's how we roll.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, that's what we're
Tight.
Nice.
All right. Now here, y'all make fun of me. I don't know.
Well, we're going. Yeah.
No, it's not your turn.
Wait. Yeah.
Oh,
you already did yours.
You go in a circle.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah.
We'll go around.
Yep.
Defrag or hard.
So I'm next. I'm up. So don't try and take my.
Yeah.
Don't take Ebro's.
I've got many important things to talk about, so don't take my time with this. Okay, so this was something I didn't even realize was out, and I ended up getting it maybe like a week ago or 2 weeks ago. But it's a bootleg of the Cavity Laid Insignificant CD that Bacteria Sour put out.
Wow.
I didn't even realize that there was of course it's a German bootleg, which is a real shocker there. But I didn't even realize that this had come out or whatever. But it's kind of cool because it's like Laid Insignificant only came out on CDs, so it's nice that they have it on vinyl. It actually sounds really good because they were able to get it from the CD. So it's I think it actually sounds, so it's got that, and then it's got the that 7-inch that Bacteria Sour put out it was Crawling, and it was like a 2-song 7-inch, so it has Laid Insignificant on it, and then also the Crawling 7-inch or whatever. So I don't know, it was cool, and it was I guess I wasn't necessarily looking for a Cavity bootleg LP or whatever, but yeah, I just happened to notice that that's true. Yeah, her drumming on this is really good, but yeah, I hadn't listened to this in a while, and it's I kind of got on this Cavity kick recently, so I was rocking that and then some of their other records or whatever. I remember playing with Cavity when I was in MK Ultra. We played with them at the Fireside. I remember my stand, one of my stands broke at the show. It just something happened, and I asked the drummer, who was not Beatrice or whatever the woman who plays on this record, but I don't know, there's some dude that just happened to be filling in or whatever. But I asked him if I could borrow a stand, and he was just you didn't prepare for this? You didn't have an extra stand? I'm nope, I just broke it. It just broke, and I kind of come from I guess a scene or a thing doing it where it's hey, if you need some help, cool, whatever. But it was but he was super taken aback that I asked to borrow a stand. And then he's all right, you can use this. I'm cool, can I adjust it? He's no. And so I had to keep it super low. And I'm so I was just not used to how it's playing or whatever. But I always remembered that. The other dudes were super cool. The guy that was I think he was the bass player. He was in that band. They were on New Age. They did a 7-inch. And now I can't remember the name of it for whatever reason. But they were actually awesome. They, you know, it was just a good hardcore record from like 1990 and 91 or whatever. So we talked to him about that, and he was super cool. I also like the fact that like they were slow and heavy, but they just dressed like regular people. Like they weren't like trying to like, oh, hey, we have to, you know, look like we're like bikers from 1970 or whatever to play this style of music, which kind of like, unfortunately, a lot of people are like, well, I need to fit I need to look like St. Vitus or whatever to be able to sound like this.
Right,
and they were cool because they were just like skaters and like, you know, old hardcore dudes or whatever. And just, Powerhouse. That's it. Powerhouse, fucking awesome. I'm trying not to curse. Powerhouse were awesome. Powerhouse were great. That 7-inch was awesome. And so we're like, oh, dude, Powerhouse is awesome. And he's just like, yeah, that's cool. You know, he was super cool about it or whatever. He wasn't like, don't talk to me about Powerhouse kind of thing. He was like, he was super like into it or whatever. So, that was cool. So, you know, that's my Cavity story.
It's Cavity, the band that did Super Collider. It's them, right?
Yeah.
That record is fucking incredible.
Yeah. Super Collider. Like pretty much all their. And I guess they actually got back together like a couple years ago, and were like doing it as Cavity AD or something. I haven't even heard that, but I might check.
I think they did a split album like a couple years ago with the band.
Yeah, so they've done a couple things, but all their records are cool. Like they were a good band. But yeah, Super Collider is really good too. That was like, you know, because Jack Reassure did that on vinyl.
Yes,
because that was the thing. That was the thing, is they did a bunch of stuff on CD only, and it was just kind of like, you know, at the time, Hydra Head put out.
Hydra Head did a lot of stuff, and then without Hydra Head, there's a lot of bands that I think I only knew where they were at because of Hydra Head being
right
a thing.
on, right?
Like Oxbow or bands like Harvey Milk, Oxbow, things like, and them. It's like after there was no Hydra Head, there's so many bands I just didn't even know where they stood. Still kind of don't. But they were one, because those are the CDs, right? Like Super Collider and all those are Hydra Head.
Yeah, Super Collider until Jack a couple of years ago he put it out on vinyl or whatever. So
that was about 15 years ago.
Comparatively
years ago, 15 years ago, 35 years ago, whatever. It's all time is a construct, man. You're living in life. I don't know. It just, you know, it all starts to blend together. Anyway.
It really does. Yeah.
Not, you know, I guess
it was also like incredibly loud.
Yeah. Didn't they play it? Didn't they play it?
They played in a basement in DeKalb with
us. Like but I was on
Ice Nine.
So I didn't see it.
Ice Nine did like a run of shows with them in the Midwest or something, and
that would have been
played in a basement in DeKalb.
Right.
And they were like Motorhead volume loud. It was incredibly loud, like painfully loud. It was
nice.
It was amazing. They were. I saw them a few times live, and they crushed every single.
Yeah, no, I saw them a couple times or whatever. I just that was like, I think I was on tour when that happened, so I didn't see that house show. But it's like, you know, other times it just, again, it all starts to blend together.
They really remind me of Helmet. I don't know if that's a sort of
kind of. I mean, like a little bit. I would say they were
groove. You know.
Like I think they were a little like noisier. Well, I mean, that's the thing. It's like because when Helmet first came out, like, you know, when they were on Amphetamine Reptile or whatever, that was super, you know, kind of noisy, but it had like that kind of groove or whatever. But, you know, and then it turned into more of kind of like a metal, whatever groove.
No, but you're right. Like they had like, I don't know, sludgy groove to it. The same way. And stuff like Cavity. I think there's people too, like, wasn't Steve Brooks from Torch and Floor and that stuff part of Cavity at that point?
I think so. I
feel like
so.
Every time I saw him, it was the bass player and the singer, and then like 2 or 3 other people filling out the rest of the band.
I think they just would have like various people, because I think it was like them pretty much on most of like all the records, but then they would have different people play drums or play whatever. So I don't know who was that didn't want me to adjust.
Or maybe they didn't have people that could tour a lot, and they had like different people come out for tours. I don't know, but it seemed like they were a little bit different every time I saw them.
Nice. That's great. That's reminded me to bust out that Super Collider. I haven't played that for a while. So good.
Yeah, no, actually, because I've been on that kick, so it's like I listen to that and listen to this and listen to that the thing about the train station and whatever, like all that stuff. So yeah, but
beautiful.
Yeah. Nice.
All right. John, what's your first pick?
I'm gonna go with the Threats EP by Extortion. That came out earlier this year.
Yeah. It came out in 2025.
No, duh. You're right.
Earlier
year. It came out in 2024.
It came out on January 1st.
May-ish 2024.
Yeah, right on.
I can't picture
there you
where it goes.
There you go.
But yeah, Extortion's great. This record's really, really good. I mean, their whole catalog's pretty great, actually. But the last couple EPs, I think, in particular, have been just front to back. I mean, they're 7 inches, so they go by really fast, but they're great. And the Threats record is excellent. I listen to it quite a lot. I don't know. They're not quite power violence. They're not quite grind. They're pretty tough sounding. I don't know. They're like, they're just a great band. They don't have a lot of feedback. That's kind of a unique thing for that style of music, I think. They always have killer artwork.
They were good at that show last year, whatever.
They were great.
Yeah, they're really good at that show because, like,
they sound like the fucking records. It's incredible.
Yeah, I'd seen them once before, and it was cool, but it was this was much better or whatever than the other time I'd seen them. So like there was, it was more, I don't know, more energetic or whatever. But it's like they definitely, like it's cool, fast, hardcore shit. So
I wouldn't call them fastcore. I think fastcore has a certain unseriousness to it. It's like fastcore. It's like what Anthrax is to thrash metal. It's like it's a little bit goofy to me,
Yeah, a little bit.
I don't know. Extortion is just Extortion, and they just play fucking tough, fast, short songs.
But I think that's the thing. Like everyone comes up with these different names for shit, and it's just like, whatever, fastcore, fast hardcore, power violence, blah blah blah. And it's just like people have different interpretations of like when you say that it paints whatever. But I mean, it's just like.
But my interpretation is the correct one. So. I'm talking about the fucking record. My definition of fastcore is like the one.
I'm not saying you need to call it fastcore. I was just saying.
I agree. When I hear fastcore, I kind of think of like pizza and beer and shorts and things like that.
Like fun. Like it's like
that's not cool.
John hates fun.
Has kind of like.
Which are all good things.
They have like sludge band vibes, but they play really fast. You know what I mean? Like all the lyrics are pretty grim. It's not like uplifting in any way, really. It's not, and it's not about having fun. They just play like a very short, fast version of like depressing sludge or something like that. You know what I mean? So respect to them for
They need to dress like 70s bikers then. If they're gonna,
they should dress more like 70s bikers.
If they want to get anywhere,
Australian 70s bikers. They should dress like they just came out of Mad Max.
Goofy Aussies or something.
It's Australian.
Fantastic.
Yeah, this is kind of a recurring theme actually. It's like it'll come up with some of my picks about like genres, like what genre does this band fall into? And you can kind of get tied up in it.
It's not important.
Interesting.
Genres are not that important.
Yeah.
I think if I think of fastcore, I think of the kind of bands that we used to play with in the later '90s, Ebro, or like that. What Happens Next world, like Life Salt, all that kind of stuff. And it did have a certain like tongue-in-cheek kind of goofiness to it, I think. And then something like Extortion's not kidding around. Like they're not fucking around.
They're serious business.
Yeah.
I mean, look how mean the artwork is. That's like I think that dog can attack me.
Is that a kangaroo like at the top of the stairs?
And they punch people.
Yeah, I know. Like kangaroos do fight, so
kangaroos aren't fucking around either. You know what I mean? Like
kangaroos are probably drunk and punching people.
Yeah, they probably are. They're like drinking Fosters and putting shrimp on the Barbie, and they're fucking punching and kicking. They like kickboxing.
Give me a beer, like
Was that an Australian accent you attempted there?
yeah. It's it's all a rich tapestry of I don't know.
All right, let's talk some death metal.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
I don't know, like this sort of that thing of like the kind of resurgence of the old school death metal has been a thing right over the past 5-6 years. I was kind of really into it at the beginning, and I just got burnt out on it. I stopped buying a lot of like new releases. Wow. It's like it's just a minefield. There's like so many sort of new bands coming out. A lot of them are almost comical these days with the sort of cavernous and the sort of various tropes that all these bands do, and it's got a bit too much for me. But this is one record I've been looking for since it came out in 2023. It's punks playing death metal, which is usually the best kind of death metal. And I'll get to the sort of pedigree of this band. It's kind of insane, actually. Like all the other bands that members of this band have been into. It came out on Profound Law, 2023. It's the one and only. Innumerable Forms.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Philosophical Collapse. It's just like this record just didn't show up in Japan. Like upon release, I couldn't get it. Finally found it used the other day. Loved the first album. This is way even better than the first record. It's just like perfect death metal with none of the sort of silly, overly cavernous caveman living in a cavernous cave. It's just goes for the throat.
Is it still like Justin and Jensen and those dudes are still in it, or?
Yes. So this was like originally it was like Justin Tavor's like solo project, right?
Right.
But now he's got all the guys in the band. And shall we quickly go through the kind of like it's funny? I kind of looked this up. Okay, let's go through all the bands, not all of them, just some of them. The people in this band have been in. It's kind of insane.
It's a lot. Yeah.
Hatred Surge, Kinetic Orbital Strike, Mammoth Grinder, Quarantine, Power Trip, Vasca, Devil Master, Brain Tourniquet, Eternal Champion, Red Death, No Tolerance, The Rival Mob, The Prowl, Give, Iron Lung, Nasty, Wars, Artemis Pile, Cold Sweat, Boston Strangler, Mind Eraser, Obliteration, Magic Circle, Mental. It's insane.
Justin and Jensen have both done a lot of bands, whatever. So, and I'm assuming there's probably like, because I actually haven't checked this one out. I had the previous records and like there was a split LP or whatever, and I saw them. I want to say they played. I know I've seen them before. I don't remember if they played out here, if it was at like Chaos and Teos or something like that. But they're definitely a cool band or whatever. It's good. It's good to have, also knowing the people in the band or whatever and knowing what they're into. It's like I know where they're coming from. It's not, it's out of a love for this style of music or whatever, and not out of like, oh, hey, we're gonna do this to whatever be some. I think there's some bands that kind of come out of like a different headspace than where we're at when we create music or whatever. So it's like, So I mean, at that, like, I definitely, those guys are great people. So it's a cool thing or whatever.
I had that
Jensen plays guitar in it, doesn't he?
What's that?
Jensen plays guitar in that band, right?
I think so. Yeah, no, he didn't play.
I guess he is one to do that. I don't ever think of him as a guitar player.
Right.
He's been drumming for
guitar playing's amazing on this record. It's
it's pretty crazy to step up and play that like on guitar.
Crazy, right?
Or not. I don't know. Better musician than myself, apparently. So good for you.
This is like death metal as I want it to be. It's kind of doomy too. It's got a lot of like slow doomy breakdowns and stuff.
Yeah,
Has a nice groove to it.
That's cool.
Kind of catchy, but like super heavy. It's kind of tough talking about death metal. There's only like certain amount of adjectives that you're allowed to use when you.
Disgusting. Generally. I think I was gonna say. I think I kind of know what you're saying.
And,
a little gross. Yeah, I think what Ebro is. I don't know. I get a bit of the same thing with a lot, especially the Boston contingent of that, where I always feel like I want to find some reason to not like something. all those bands, because they're kind of like one at a time through all these really culty genres, and they just kind of do one and move on and do another one. But it's also, yeah, that's absolutely legit. Bands that are around that bake a 7-inch and then that's it, right? Every time those dudes do something, it is fucking great.
Right.
All those bands are great. Mind Eraser was great. Magic
Yeah.
Circle is great. They get it, but I guess it's just like it's fandom, right?
Yeah. But I mean,
but
I think like when they're doing it though, it's not, you know, like they're like, hey, I want to do kind of maybe like this style, but it is out of a love for it or whatever, and it's kind of not as like, and I don't know, I don't really take like those bands are cool, and I think they can stand on their own, though it's like it's not like fully like a cookie cutter kind of like, oh, hey, we're whatever, we watched all this and we studied it and this is how it's going to be, you know. It's kind of like, hey, this is our expression of it or our version of it or whatever. It's able to kind of stand on its own, you know.
Yeah, that's true. I think hardcore kids are sometimes to their detriment a little like way good at aping genres.
Yeah, well, yeah,
and,
right.
And that's the thing right now, like you're saying about death metal by way of hardcore. Like I know what Obituary sounds like. I know I'm probably gonna like that if you just do it exactly like that. It's a matter of like how much of it I want to take in over other bands that are like making a thing.
So I think the problem is like to your point, like I think it's like what hardcore kids are doing. It's like, hey, we're gonna take this and then like we're gonna throw, you know, do the mosh part, you know, because we love Biohazard too or whatever. So we're gonna throw in some like mosh part into this and try and make it so that like we can, you know, make our video and everyone we can play at the big fest and have everyone, you know, like all like point at our fingers at the same time and kind of shit. And it's just like, you know, I think there is I don't know, like having liked death metal back a long time ago or whatever, it's like there was people coming at it that were into the hardcore scene, but it was like I don't know, it had, yes, of course people were trying to like, you know, kind of fit in of like, oh hey, this is what we're doing, but on the same end it just, I don't know, there was kind of a natural expression of it or whatever. It wasn't like now like bands just in general when they do it, there is kind of like back then it's like you would do it with like, I don't think this is going to be some huge band I'm going to make a living off of. Now it's like people are like, all right, well, I'm doing shit that, hey, I can, you know, actually make some money off of this. And there's all these people that have inserted themselves into hardcore and metal music to middlemen, kind of carpetbagger dudes that are like, have come in and be like, hey, yeah, we're going to charge $40-$50 to get into this show and all this stuff. So it's like, I think that paints, you know, or colors the way that people do stuff now a little differently. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, self-aware. It's very self-aware.
At least having knowing those dudes, I know that they're coming at it from like a pure place of like, hey, this isn't like you know, whatever.
They're nerds
like trying,
for it.
Yeah. So
yeah, absolutely. You can just
I give a lot of my love for neo death metal. I think Tomb Mold is my favorite of all that stuff.
You know what?
Because they're here too. They're friends and they're local, but they're just they blow me away.
That third record, I forget what it's called. It's just perfect. The third
they're all
album.
really good.
They're all really good.
The only one I haven't listened to much is that new one, that kind of proggy new one. But
they went a bit more proggy right on the new one. Yeah.
Yeah.
The last
they're all going proggy now. Like
Blood Incantation.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It's like that. Like everyone's like, all right, we're yes now or something. We're like death metal yes or something. So,
yeah,
I don't know.
They were on Leprosy and now they moved up to the one with the weird Dune.
Oh yeah, right. It's like we have to go the death trajectory of, you know.
It's like how the Blitz worship slid from you know, like Voice of the Generation up to Second Empire of Justice.
Telecommunication, right? Exactly. Now we're like, now everyone sounds
we
like
see you. We see what you're doing.
Right. It's true.
But if it's good, it's good. So fuck it.
Yeah. Exactly.
All right. Okay. That's the last of the death metal for me tonight. I'm just happy to get this because I think this is a great band. So I'm chuffed to get that record.
Yeah, I need to pick that up too.
Yeah.
All right, Chris, what's your?
Is it me?
Yes.
I'm changing the order in light of that just now because
cool.
This is relative to this.
I wish you would have told us ahead of time when you're going to do that.
I'm sorry.
Whoa! Okay.
Right? Yeah. Everybody into it?
I don't know what that is.
Mess.
Yes, sorry, it's a Mexican
Still don't
band.
know. I mean, I read the words, but I still don't know.
John doesn't know how to read, so he's just like,
yep.
What is
that?
it?
Yeah. It's a Mexican
I've gotten this
like
far.
boy band
Yeah.
that's very blitz by numbers in the best way though. Like if you like that, I think the best blitz worshipy band since probably Criminal Damage. Like in terms of like really by the, it just, I don't know. I love it. And I think there's so much also by way of hardcore to the point, and there's already been 25 waves of it. I'm like, okay, I know. Yes, I know. So outside of some bands like No Time, I really love No Time a lot. And this one, I'm good for a few at a time. I don't need a ton of them, but I think that's the best one in a long time.
Oh, yeah.
But then this also raises our point where we were saying about that Second Empire Justice. I don't know how y'all feel about it, but I call it emoy. I don't know, all those. It's like,
yep. We have another
like new wave. You know, what do you call it?
Oi division.
Yeah, that's what
exactly the fucking it. Yeah.
No, that's what I had talked about a long time ago. Before all this, I said I'm going to start a band called Oi Division, and then I'm going to kill myself, and you guys, the rest of the band is going to be New Oider.
New Oider?
Right.
You were thinking about this, seriously.
Yeah, well, because that's the thing. That's like, I saw it on the horizon. I'm like, all right, this is like, everyone loves Oi. Everyone's into goth. Everyone's into Oi goth.
No, it's neat to see people. I think that's more interesting. Like a lot of those Prisoner Time, Syndrome 81, Homefront, those things. It's a neat combination to slam that into I don't know, new wave.
I think it's like all these bands they're cool and they're catchy or whatever. I just, when it starts to become like, okay, now it's a thing.
Yeah,
and everyone's and a bunch of bands are coming out like that. It's
that's
like
the trouble. Yeah,
I mean it's great, and I'm glad people like it or whatever. But then it's just kind of like, all right, okay, you guys like the same shit, and you want to start the band.
I think whenever anything gets that self-aware, it gets a little bit played out pretty fast. Like remember, even when we would tour, this is like coming out of the 90s when it was like so much like mosh metal, and we all were pretty big fans of like earlier 80s shit. And thinking almost in our heads, I would just kill for a band that sounded like fucking SOA and Side by Side crossed over. And then magically, around 1999, we were playing with 6 bands like that a night. It was like, oh, okay. It's not really the same. It was better when you play with like a 15-year-olds in the middle of nowhere and they blow your mind. You're like, this is awesome because you're not aware of the rest of it. You're just making something.
So Chris,
I think. No, go on.
I was going to say, where do we think all this sort of Oi division and stuff? Where is it heading? Where are these bands going to go next? Is it going to be like more synth?
Hot topic.
Yes, I think what it is like everyone is going to be like, they're going to go so far. They're going to go way out of punk. It's going to be all synth, and it's going to be like kind of like the music that was popular at the time in the 80s or whatever that like all these bands were in response to. Is all these bands are going to turn into that. That's what's going to happen.
That's what's going to happen. You heard it here first.
Yeah, right. Just keep an eye out. I think that's what it is. But, no, I mean,
it's turn into like rigor mortis style speed metal bands is what they should do.
Yeah, that's what they should. Or
I don't know. I'm just gonna throw that out there. So
or cock rock bands. That could be the thing. Like like everyone loves to recycle things. All right, then why don't you start sounding like Motley Crue or something like that? And then that'll
didn't that already happen a bit like with that sort of in LA and that the crusty start to sort of have Motley Crue and Gizmo.
Well, yeah, well that's the thing. Because I mean, all right, so LA's always been very glam, like it's like even when it's not glam, it's still kind of glam or whatever. But it's like even though like it is, I don't know, it's like Mike Ness putting, in Another State of Mind, putting on makeup and or like talking about the sympathetic look or whatever. So it's like there's always been that aspect.
It's funny though, because like being sort of from England and being of the age that I am, I do remember that people did not like that later era Blitz stuff at the time. But you know what? You go back and listen to it now. Somehow it all makes sense. Like back in the rearview mirror.
Well, but I mean, I think that's the thing though. It's like I think when you like, to me, it's kind of like I get wanting to do something different, but I mean, this is the thing. It's like I get like, all right, you want to like expand yourself and do whatever, but on the same end, it's kind of like that was a pretty short amount of time to go from sounding like like someone's gonna die tonight or whatever, and then telecommunication like kind of shit or whatever, which again I it's catchy or whatever, and it's funny because it's like I remember saying something about like I'm glad that I heard Voice of a Generation first and like that stuff or whatever, and then heard the later stuff later or whatever.
But to be fair, man,
I love the later stuff, like it's like
that was the only Second Empire Justice was exceptional in that it was like the only one of those bands that pulled off both.
Right.
Like someone's gonna die. That shit is untouchable. And then like New Age telecommunication, they are good as like new wave era things. Like they were the only one I think that pulled that off.
New Age is fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think in real time, when the second Blitz album comes out, like this is not what I wanted from Blitz.
Right.
But like, but years down the road, like I heard, the records kind of closer together, like long after they had been out. So it's like it's not as like shocking to like be anticipating something and getting like, come on, man.
I think,
but so it's like you're like, oh, this seems like it can seem like a more natural progression when you're not like
But I think
you know what I mean? When bands kind of change things up, it can be disappointing because you're like, that's not what I want from Blitz. Like, start a new fucking band. Don't call it Blitz anymore.
Well, that's what I was saying. It was because there was such a there was a backlash because there wasn't much time in between the two eras or whatever. So I mean, and it's also the same thing with like Discharge or whatever when when they went to and that's like going to like sounding terrible, like at least like Second Empire Justice is like catchy or whatever. I think the thing is though too, it's like I know in my head, just the way I was, a long time ago when I was younger, it's like I wanted to hear like the hard, fast, raw shit. I didn't want to hear like dancey whatever. As I've gotten older, I'm like, all right, cool. I can, appreciate this for what it is, and it's catchy and I like it or whatever. So I guess it's like when you start growing up or whatever, it's like more grown up music, and they do it well, but it's on the same end. To John's point, it's like I'm glad that I heard the Oi stuff before or whatever.
It's funny because last week I showed the first Abrasive Wheels record when the punks go marching. I'd forgotten about the second album. Black leather jacket girl, whatever it's called, because they went that way too, right? They kind of went new wavy. I got to go back and listen to that record again because I might like it in 2025.
You know what? Well, I don't. Sorry. Go.
No, go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say one I've never fucked with at all, but I've been meaning to check out is that Even Later When the Killing Dream is that 86 or so.
Oh,
do y'all know that? I don't know shit about it.
Me neither.
Later than that. Like I thought that was like I don't know.
I thought that was later in the 80s, right?
Yeah, I thought so.
The cross on the front of it. Yeah.
Like I want to say that could even been like 1990 or something. Like that was like I thought that was even later because I remember always seeing it at the record store and never buying it. No one else bought it, and then now it's probably like $500 or whatever. But, like
I feel like we'd know by now if it was good.
Yeah. Well, but that's it is interesting now going back and listening to stuff that like I'm like, there's no way I would have dug this back then, but listening to stuff now, I'm like, this is pretty catchy, it's cool or whatever. It's interesting to me though, like the mindset, and I think a lot of this if you're coming from like London or coming from New York or coming from LA, where you're especially in the 80s making music coming from like a big media center or like a place where you could get recognized, I think that always like colored people's like, oh well, I want to make money and make a living off of this or whatever, so I like try and make that change, whereas like other places they weren't doing that because it's like you wouldn't get recognized or you wouldn't have even the opportunity to do that, where it's like if you're in one of these bigger media centers, you probably did have a chance to like, oh yeah, hey, we can play these bigger shows and make money or whatever. So that's always interesting too. But
all right,
yeah,
okay,
good conversation.
Yeah, we're still technically on that mess record. That mess record.
Mess was the original pick. Yes, yeah. No, that's a great pick. Yeah, nice.
I think it's really good.
Yeah, they're catchy. Yeah, they're a catchy band. It's you know, I mean, it's cool. It's like I think again, there's when it turns into a thing, and there's like, all right, now there's 500 oi bands or whatever, you know, and it's kind of like, you know, it's like, all right, but I mean, you know, there's good oi bands from Chicago or whatever, like they have people that have been doing it for a minute that like are still doing it, and it's like, you know, it's cool. I'm glad that like they're getting recognition. It's you know, but like I think it's just again where it turns into like a thing. It's just like
self-aware.
All right, we don't need 5 million.
Like outside of the No Time and the Chisel, I'm pretty good for, and this band, I'm probably pretty good for anything new. That's that. You know exactly,
you should check out. So Fuerza Bruta from Chicago and Lost Legion are both really cool.
And Dead Hero from Colombia. Now in Montreal.
I think the fact that that's from Mexico too is what made me take more like note of it than like an American or even a British band at this point like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. All right, Ebro, what's your second pick? What's your second? Okay. We're still on round two. For everyone, we're still on round two.
Yeah, we're on round two.
We're on round two. We're on round two.
Yeah. Round two in an endless fight. Okay. So we're this all right. So like
lately, nice.
Yeah, lately, like
nice.
It was kind of rainy before it started getting super cold. It was rainy and kind of like, you know, depressing and dark out and shit. And we were going to see Nosferatu or whatever. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna bust out the first Cathedral album or whatever. I love this record. Basically, like when it came out, I remember getting it, and I was going to Spain to visit family or whatever, and then we're like, I just remember listening to it, like being in like the mountains in the Basque Country or whatever, and just like the cold kind of like rain or whatever. It was a perfect record for listening to that. It's just like, you know, at the time, because I was listening to like Napalm Death a lot and like a lot, you know, just a lot of the earache stuff. I was at first, you know, I guess a little taken aback because it was coming out from completely different viewpoint and sound or whatever. But, and also too, there weren't a lot of like bands doing that style, or at least that like I was like listening to at the time. But it just kind of, that always hit. I don't know. It's like, it's heavy, but it's the songs are like, the riffs are really good. Like it's really, it's like just kind of a depressing, like, you know, I don't know, like how to describe it, but it's like, I've always dug it. And then also too, when I came back from that, I saw them with Napalm Death and Carcass and Brutal Truth or whatever. So it's like that also kind of cemented, even though they had started like to go talk about like fitting the image of it or whatever. Like they started like just wearing like all black or whatever, and then like when I saw them, they were already started dressed like 70s. Well,
that's Lee Doran. He's always been into like 70s, like progressive rock and heavy rock and stuff. So,
yeah. So they kind of had that style going on, but like this first, you know, and then like the records after that, when it kind of got more rock or whatever, like at the time I wasn't digging it as much. I like them more now or whatever, but like this one I can always go back to. That's always just like super, you know, especially like certain times of year, I think it totally like fits into it. So, you know, but I like it's the music, and then the lyrics are like, you know, the lyrics are cool too. It's like all like, you know,
I mean, it's punks playing like doom metal, you know.
Yeah.
Also old school, but that's funny though, because what happened in the UK was, so Lee sort of left Napalm Death, and then there was a live Cathedral tape that started circulating on the tape trading,
Yeah.
I just did not understand it.
Yeah.
I was like,
Yeah.
he's gone from like being in the fastest band in the world to playing this incredibly, like at the time I thought incredibly boring, like slowly. So I didn't buy that when it came out.
Yeah, right on.
I didn't bother. But then of course years later I was like, God, I completely missed out on Cathedral. Now I have every single one of their records.
Yeah, right on. And the one they did that 12-inch and they did that Pentagram cover or whatever, and that kind of introduced me to, like, I hadn't, you know, heard Pentagram at the time or whatever, and that's a jam. Like, so that I don't know. It's like there's not a lot of these bands that I'm like super into, but just, you know, that always kind of just hit me. And like I said, it always like I associated with being in, you know, in the mountains in the rain or whatever, and just kind of like, you know, it kind of just was always felt like driving in that, like kind of always like felt like appropriate music. You know?
Ebony Tears is the single from that record. That the video went on the graveyard and stuff. Like, it looks like it's shot in the 70s. That's amazing.
Yeah. Also, I found out that I think the guitarist was in Acid Rain.
Yes,
yeah, right, exactly. So like in DeKalb, in the record store in Record Revolution, they used to have, there was a section called, like jokingly called, the heaviest of metal, the hardest of course. So they would put records that wouldn't sell in there, but it was like, but they also like, it was cool shit or whatever usually, but Moshkenstein was one of the records that was in there. So it's like, you know, like that and a couple other things that you know, other people that were around at that time that knew that or whatever would recognize these records.
Who would ever guess that the guitarist of Acid Rain would become sort of the $1 million riff master? You know, in Cathedral. It's
that's true. That's true. Yeah, I wouldn't have seen that. But I mean, again, it's like when they came out, it was just so out of left field or whatever, because it's like I'm listening to like from enslavement to obliteration,
and then that, right?
And then that I'm just like, oh shit. But you know, and surprisingly, because at the time, like I was definitely less forgiving and less open-minded about shit, but it just like hit me, like I'm just like, I don't know, like it was just like, it's so heavy and just kind of like I'm just, oh shit, you know, I just like I felt it. So, you know,
there's that like legendary gig that happened in London. I think SOB were in London recording
an
LP.
Oh yeah, with Agnostic Front, right?
Agnostic Front, St. Vitus.
Yeah, dude, that would have been the best. Yeah, that would have been a great gig. That would have been nuts to have all those bands playing together. You know, would have been pretty crazy.
Did SOB go there a lot?
They toured the UK and Europe twice. I saw them on the first tour with Napalm Death.
I was going to say, they seem like they had an influence on half of that and not the other way around a lot.
That's a great comment, Chris, because when I saw SOB in Bristol with Napalm Death and Doctrine of the Crippins.
Whoa.
And there was a lot of
what
people
year?
who didn't understand SOB, and they were like sort of shouting out, ugh! You know, it's like a kind of bad Japanese copy of Napalm Death. And I was like, no, it's the other way around.
Yeah, ask Napalm Death about that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Wow, that's cool. Yeah. They were great.
Yeah. All right. John, what you got? Second record of the day.
Gonna go with SNFU, Something Green and Leafy, This Way Comes.
Damn.
This is their 4th proper full length, their first on Epitaph. It's probably my favorite SNFU record, or at least the one I go back to the most. It's got some really great songs, and like it's when Chai Pig's being a little more serious, it's got some really some pretty heavy lyrics and stuff when he's not being goofy. It's a fantastic record.
I actually haven't. Yeah, I haven't heard that one. Like I think
I heard it.
No, dude, I know I saw him around that time or whatever, but like I don't know if it was just, again, it was like maybe, this is on Epitaph, I don't know if I need to hear or whatever, even though I loved like early and SNFU or whatever, and live they were awesome still, but it's like, I don't know, it's like just didn't check it out.
It's good. It's a good record.
I never saw him, and I saw an old Fireside show list, and they played at the Fireside.
Did they?
With like Gas Huffer, I think.
Oh wow, that's weird.
But I had been at shows like in days before and after this SNFU show, and at the time I don't know if I would have gone. but I feel like I didn't even know about it. And I guess they played a church in Evanston.
Yeah,
like,
I saw him at the church. Yeah, I saw him at the church in Evanston. Yeah.
I wish I would have seen him. I never got to see him, but they're a band that I liked when I was younger, and after I turned 40, I fucking loved them. And like I made it like my mission to like go back and get like all their albums and stuff. And this came out in I think 93.
Yeah.
And I was really into it when it came out. And then, you know, Charles Bronson started in 94, so I had to stop listening to him for a few years.
That's true. I think we didn't like,
we couldn't like Epitaph bands.
You can't listen to Epitaph related bands anymore. So, sorry.
I
had to stop listening to them, but that didn't make the record any less good. It's got like Watering Hole, and it's got Painful Reminder on it. It's got some really great tracks on it, and it's the one I revisit the most, especially like in the winter. Like it gets a lot of play like this time of year. So yeah,
it's a good album.
That's SNFU. They're great. So
an argument could be made that it's like one of the best Epitaph records.
Yeah, I would definitely
along with
say
New Bomb.
They don't fit in with the roster really at all. Like especially for that era, because they're like right around the time like Rancid and Offspring and stuff were like really taking off.
Right.
And I guess they didn't get taken seriously because they were from Canada. Probably is the problem.
Yeah,
we always held them back.
It's the whole thing, man.
It's just a thing we can't help
it. They're like all the Epitaph records. All three of their albums on Epitaph have great songs on them. So
nice. I haven't gone past that one.
What's that?
I'm willing to though.
Yeah, you're willing to check it out.
I'm willing to. Yeah,
you should. It just got reissued actually on this label Chase the Glory from Toronto. It's like a tattoo shop / record store label that's actually reissued a lot of their catalog. They've done all the Epitaph records at this point, and they did the 2 Cargo records already.
Okay.
And
wait, what's the other? Oh yeah, sorry, never mind. I was like, wait, oh yeah, Cargo did. I thought Cargo did more than. I thought they did.
They did Better Than a Stick in the Eye, and they did Last of the Big Time Suspenders.
Didn't they do if you swear you'll catch no fish too?
That's BYO. The first 2 albums are both on BYO.
Yes, exactly.
I have that.
Fringe?
I don't. What's that?
There was a label up here called Fringe that did all the classic stuff, like the more of the 80s.
Canadian, right.
Yeah, it might have been that. Right. I don't know, or Cargo.
Yeah, well, no, I don't know why. I don't know why I forgot that was on BYO. Whatever. Like, that's cool. I'll check it out. Yeah.
Nice. What a great band. You wearing a t-shirt?
Yeah.
John's an SNFU super fan. So
there you go.
Cool.
They were awesome. I mean, you know, it's like live, especially they were fucking.
Someone just said actually.
Yeah. They were sick live, man. They were great, great live.
I went to the show too. It was at Bristol, the Tropic Club in Bristol. Unbelievable, unbelievable.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
And I mean, honestly, like I would say, and you know, I like the records or whatever, but it's like the live. It was just a whole nother thing or whatever.
The energy of it, they had so much crazy energy. It was fun as hell to watch.
Yes, incredible, absolutely incredible.
Right,
one of the best to ever do it.
Right.
All right. So one of the sort of things apart from Oi Division last year that was a bit of a sort of mini thing for you know many people on the channel and people who watch and stuff was a sort of the girl groups kind of doing a 60s pop thing filtered through an 80s sort of indie pop. Alvilda was the big one on Static Shock Records. Great record.
Oh yeah. I haven't heard that yet. I know people talking
it's like
good.
It's an amazing record. And we had who else was there?
Are they French?
They're French band, yeah. And then there was like Curlandex from Belgium is another one on La Vida Es un Mus. It's like this amazing like 60s pop filtered through sort of 80s indie pop. And then the one that I was talking about last week was this band called Melenas from Spain. Another all-girl band, kind of doing kind of similar kind of thing. So anyway, because of that, I keep being sent out these recommendations. Well, if you like this, you got to check out this band. And my friend Simon he's not watching now, but he was like, man, you got to check out this band from Argentina. It's a
Okay.
bit different. It's not the 60s meets 80s thing. Check out this band. And I just played a couple of songs and I had to fucking find the records. And I did. Being in Osaka, I managed to find the records. I'm talking about this band, Fin del Mundo.
Okay.
End of the World.
Yep.
From Argentina. Not too much Argentinian music on this show.
No.
Argentinian bands. Current band. This came out last year. This isn't 60s meets 80s jingle jangle indie pop. This is so 90s, but it's incredible. It's like massive production. It sounds like Butch Vig or someone was, at the mixing desk. Big guitars, loud bass. Let me sort of throw some genres at you because it's got to be done. It's like shoegaze, dream pop, indie rock, massive production.
Awesome.
Just incredible. But the thing about this band is not only just they have the sound, they have the songs.
Yeah, right on.
Amazing songs, absolutely incredible. And I think they kind of had a bit of a setback during the lockdown and stuff. They had a couple of singles that didn't come out. Digital only, but this is their first LP. That's
Wait, did that come? It came out this or
it came out last year on Spindo Records, which is from Spain.
Okay,
More of an indie sort of label.
Yeah.
I'd like to sort of steer people. There's a video. What I think is the best song on this record. It's incredible. It's called Vivimos Legos. All four women in the band sing in unison on this song.
Okay.
But then they mix the vocals kind of low in the mix.
Yeah.
It's so good. It's one of those, like, it's a spine tingler,
Yeah, right on.
It'll send shivers up and down your spine. Such a good band. Incredible.
Yeah.
I wonder how popular they are in Argentina. I don't know.
Yeah, I'll just check them out. That sounds cool. That's my thing.
It's so 90s like sounding. Like that big indie rock sound, incredible. But they've got the songs. I think this is an amazing.
Remind me, what's that LP called?
Okay, so the name of the band is Fin del Mundo.
I'm making notes here, y'all.
And then the name of the record is, excuse my Spanish,
Mundo.
Hicimos crecer un bosque, which means we grew a forest, right?
Ebro, how's he doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So apparently the lyrics are also very important on this record. They tell a story and stuff. Unfortunately, I can't understand the lyrics, but yeah, amazing record. Such a great band. Thanks to Simon for sort of sending me the link to the Bandcamp, and I checked them out, and I was fortunate to find the record. So this is the LP. Neat. And if you want more, and you're lucky, you might find this is the sort of two like digital only singles which finally got released on a LP. So there's that too.
Cool.
Great band.
Yeah.
Nice.
Top-notch recommendation for anybody who likes good music.
Yeah.
But it's so 90s. But it's great in all the best ways,
Cool.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Check them out.
Neat. I'm gonna check that. I'm gonna check that out.
We made a forest grow is the good translation.
Is that what that means? Oh.
Yes. Nice. All right, we're getting a few more recommendations. Last news from Miami. Man, isn't there? There's so much good music coming out these days.
Yeah.
It's
overwhelming, to be honest. That's why it's hard. There's so much shit coming out that's like, it's hard to really like kind of latch on to something sometimes. And also too, a lot of stuff gets hyped up, and then I hear it, and I'm just like, it's all right, and that's not people liking whatever, but it's like,
it might happen with this with this when you hear it. Let us know what you think if you give it a listen. But,
that sounds like stuff I'm into.
They're a great band. I think.
Right on.
It's got Butch Vig like production. That's a pretty glowing endorsement.
It's just got that. It's massive. You know what I mean? It's like it's this massive, like 90s fucking indie rock production that just like, jumps out of the speakers, but every instrument is very nicely separated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Great. Yeah.
That sounds cool.
All right, that's my third pick. Right.
Yep.
All right. Round 3.
Yeah,
all right, Chris, what's your third pick? What you got?
Okay. All right. Killing Joke 2012 LP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know if that's like way obvious or not, and it's like late for them or mid period, I guess, for them, or three-quarters period for them.
That's late.
It is, right? But this whole run of records, Hosannas from the Basement of Hell, Absolute Descent, I love. And obviously, it goes without saying that their first ones are great. They have so many different eras. But what gets me about this, and this is in that same run of Absolute Descent, Hosannas, like that, is that they're so like elemental that at first it almost sounds like those bands of the time of the 90s, like say Nine Inch Nails or Ministry or whatever Plastic Pants bullshit was going on. But it was those bands trying to sound like them to begin with. Right. It's just them being them still, right? But yeah, Jazz's voice is such a, in a Michael Gira way, it's just such an actual. There you go.
Yeah, actually, the cover is definitely worth showing. It's there you go. Killing Joke.
2012.
2012.
It's wild, paranoid conspiracy theory shit because that's that guy's headspace. But I don't know. I really like some bands, not many, but when you're a band like that and you're just getting better and better at what you do, in the way I was going to say, like Michael Gira, like his voice is just an instrument in itself, like a really distinctly played thing, and his voice is the same. I don't know if that band's going to be the same after Geordie Walker's not with anything anymore. But if you think of like the late 70s to that far in, and how in the same way we were talking about The Cure, like it's really good to me. It's like stuff that I wouldn't have liked at the time or even during the 90s, I guess. So stuff that was more talk about the drumming. The drumming is great on it. I don't know. At the time, stuff that was kind of dancey, right? Like I grew up with things like Skinny Puppy, but not so much other shit like a bit of Ministry. I like certain records of that, but other stuff, like Nine Inch Nails and stuff, it just wasn't. I was heavily into hardcore, so how was I going to be impressed by a Nine Inch Nails record right at the time? But that is sort of an exception to that sound of stuff. Like it's
Chris, those like records that we just mentioned, this sort of late period, they're so fucking heavy and angry.
They are
and blown out. Such a late, sort of late
it's got elements of the same things that made something like Amebix heavy, and the more tuneful, dirgy, funereal kind of part of that. It's just that, I think.
Yeah. No, I need to actually. I haven't even heard this album. I need to check it out.
It's neat. I don't know. I really dig it.
They're all great. Like the Blatant Descent. What was the other ones we mentioned?
Hosannas from the Basements of Hell. Yeah. Absolute Descent. That one. That self-titled, like the second self-titled, the yellow one with the cover, and it's got Dave Grohl on it. Yeah. And I think it's really well played.
That's one of their best. That's one of my favorite Killing Joke records.
That song, specifically that song, You Won't Get the Best of Me.
You know, I knew as soon as you said one of the best songs, I knew you were going to say that.
That thing is just like end of the world listening. That song is, if that's the last thing I ever hear in my life, that'd be great.
It's funny, Chris, like that song, I was in a van with some like Japanese hardcore punk bands, and the Japanese punks love that self-titled record. They sort of get it. And that song came on, and everyone was like, this is just like we Japanese punks. They were like, they got it. They just felt it. Yeah. Without necessarily not understanding all that. They felt it. It was kind of wild, actually.
That's saying something.
Yeah. Just from the feel of the music, they got it. It's a great song.
Yeah. Well, that's pretty much all Geordie's demos. Oh, Geordie, R.I.P. That's sad. Very sad. I hope I don't know what they'll do. I can't see how somebody gets that integral to it.
That's a tough one to sort of come back from, isn't it?
His playing and his sound were absolutely, you can't separate those two things. But
no.
What do you do? Whether you're the Rolling Stones or them, what do you do when you're that far into life with your friends and your band and that many?
They might be able to make some records.
It's a little bit different with the Rolling Stones. We're like, how else are we going to continue being millionaires if we don't continue to?
I would say it's like Lemmy. You can't have Motorhead without Lemmy, right?
Yeah, right. But, well, you could. This would be terrible. So
I reckon Phil Campbell's going to try at some point, though.
I hope. Yeah, I don't think so.
Phil Campbell's Motorhead.
I don't know. Yeah.
All right.
John Arends Motorhead might happen. You never know.
You never know. Don't rule it anything out.
how else is he going to pay for college for the kids? It's like,
yeah, like that. It's expensive, and they're talking about like liberal arts degrees and stuff. I'm like, oh man,
yeah. Like,
that's a great. I love
there's
that.
cheaper pieces of paper out there you can get. So
that's a great pick. I love that late era. That last run of records is so heavy, so like aggressive.
Yeah.
All right,
Ebro. What Indigo Girls record you got?
Oh shit! Well, there's so many to choose from that it's been kind of hard to narrow it down. But I found this one where they changed their name to Smith and Wesson, and they put out a rap album called The Shining or whatever.
Classic.
No, this is a classic. It just turned 30 today, and I've been listening to it lately. It's this is a great record. It basically, it's kind of like it. Well, it's strange to think that that stuff that came out in 95 is turning 30 or whatever now, but that's the way it is. But like so much cool shit came out in 95. But yeah, that like it's super like dark and oppressive sounding, and basically it's like, I mean, like it kind of it switches up. There's like some kind of like, lighter sounding, but like, just the way that it's recorded too, it's very like it's a little kind of lo-fi sounding, but then it's
very like claustrophobic.
Yeah, right. But like the bass kind of hits, and like the production by the B minors on it is amazing, and it just it's a classic. It's like, I've been listening to a lot lately or whatever, and basically like anything that like the 90s boot camp click records, like the first the first two Black Moon LPs, the Helter Skelter LP, the original Gun Clappers LP or whatever, like all that shit is just all classic stuff. Yeah. So but I think today is the actual date that it was released 30 years ago. So,
oh wow, is it? Wow.
Yeah. So I'm just giving the shout out to it because it's a great record.
Now, were they a West Coast group?
No, they're from New York.
They're
from Brooklyn. Yeah. So I mean, basically, it's like they appeared on. I'm pretty sure they're on Enter the Stage, the first Black Moon album or whatever. It's like they kind of like they would have like the different groups kind of like come do features on the songs, and then all that. But yeah, they were from Brooklyn. So yeah, it's a classic dark, and like I love in 95 how much kind of like dark, like sinister sounding hip hop was coming out or whatever. That's like some of my favorite, I mean, I have many eras of hip hop that I love, but like that's some of my favorite shit. Like it's stuff like that. It's just like, yeah, just really.
We've talked about this before, like the show and AG. We've talked about this before.
Yeah,
like
yeah. Well, like Goodfellas came out in 95. It's just like, like it was like Liquid Swords came out in 95. The Infamous came out in 95. Like all these records came out that year, and I just remember it was like, yeah, this is like, this is all my. Like I loved it just from jump, and it's like I still been listening to it the last 30 years. It's been great. So
yeah, unbelievable, so good. Yeah. Classic. Yes. All right, John, what's your next pick? I like the way he moves his chair back.
Yeah,
I'm trying to understand your house based on this angle, and I can't. I'm picturing you like one of those sex workers in the little room.
This is a sex work room. That's the
Oh, good. Okay, then I got it right. Okay.
Yeah, you got it right. You got it right.
Okay, perfect.
Right. Hate Training. Punitive Damage. This is a band from Vancouver, I think. This is a EP they did on Convulse Records that came out just in the fall here at the end of 2024. And they play kind of stompy hardcore. It's like kind of like New York informed. Like it's got like the way they do things, but I don't know. They play hard. They play a very good style of hardcore, and they do it very, very, very well. A lot of the lyrics and the artwork. This is the back cover. It kind of is going on. It's goes a lot with what's going on in Gaza right now. A lot of the lyrical themes and stuff have to do with that, but so does the artwork. It's kind of a good package of music and art, which, you know, it's not totally rare, but it's a little less common, I think, to like have like such a cohesive package for a record sometimes these days. So it's a good taste of what they are. It's a fantastic record. It's like they play fast, not quite Extortion fast, but just a couple beats behind that, and then they have like good, like stompy kind of danceable parts and shit like that. And the vocalist sounds like she's just like threading her larynx when she's screaming so hard. So it's
that the woman that played bass for Regional Justice Center or whatever?
Yeah, she played with Regional Justice Center. Yes.
Yeah, right. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
cool. Did that just come out too?
It came out in I think October, end of October, I think.
And it's a 12-inch or it's an LP?
It's a 12-inch. It's a one-sided 12-inch.
Okay.
It's 6 songs. It's about 8 minutes of music, I think, but it's
is that like I think people are just like they don't want to put 7 inches out anymore, so they're just like
yes, I think that is it. 7 inches are
like people won't buy 7 inches, but they'll buy a one-sided 12-inch or whatever.
Yes.
Bigger, I'm getting more value for money. It's like
the opposite of shrinkflation.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's so,
but
yeah, I kind of get it a little bit because 7 inches are like $12 now.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's crazy, man. Even flexies,
of course,
man.
12 inches are like at least $20. So
yeah. No,
I
like
don't know.
on the cheap end now, so yeah.
But it's not, I don't know. It's like it's a lot. I don't know. If you're not gonna pack a 7-inch with like 4 or more songs,
yeah,
I don't know if I can spend $12 on your 7-inch anymore.
Yeah,
that's before shipping, and then it's like $6 more to ship it or something.
Anything more than like over $12 or so for a 7-inch for what it is, man. Like, let alone like 45s for what they were when you're a kid, and like records are like $5 and you don't have $5, but you have one. But even the hardcore version of that, when they were like, $5 and you could basically make an actual record out of it, like you could plan it out and have like 10, 12 minutes of music. But yeah, I don't know if it's the cause of the pressing plants being so backlogged or like the resurgence and record store day bullshit. Everyone's in line behind 1 million fucking Korn reissues or something so like hip hop and punk records that never stop. They're not. You get no precedence when that happens. So yeah, I think that's why people have been doing. Well, even flexies, man. Like then some flexies will be like over $10. Like, dude, those were free.
Yeah, right. The whole reason that was like right.
But I think that's why people are doing those one-sided 12 inches so much.
Right.
Like you can buy albums at Target and chain retail stores now, and I don't think you need to be able to do that. Are people really buying like Prince's greatest hits at Target? I don't know. I mean, maybe
it must be.
It's like $40 though. It's like it's a little expensive for.
Well, I can't. It's like that. I was just thinking, like for like young kids or whatever. Like imagine, like because it's like I barely had any money, and I was, like maybe able to scrounge enough to like, I can get a 7-inch is like $2 or $3 or whatever. But it's like now I couldn't imagine like kids because I'm sure they still have no money, and it's just like, all right, everything's like $40 or more or whatever.
It's crazy, man.
And then also
if it's punk.
Yeah, like, and also too, like it's like you can't even get like cheap used records anymore. It's like it automatically everyone's like, oh, if I'm selling a used, I gotta sell it for more than I paid for it or whatever. So it's like,
I can't imagine being like a teenager with like no job. At least back then you could afford to buy maybe a record or so a month with your pocket money or whatever. But now you can't, right? I guess.
Right. I mean, when I started going to shows, $20 got you in the show. It got you a 7-inch and a T-shirt. And then you had money for like a bag of chips and a Coke after the show still.
And
like
still had to change for
amazing.
A kebab.
But now it's like $20. You go, here's our tour flexi. It's like, thanks.
And then you had to walk 20 miles back from the snow.
Uphill both ways. It was hard.
To get your mom her tuberculosis medicine.
Yeah, right.
In a blizzard.
The iron lung that your mom lived in.
But my 7-inch connection grew very quickly back then because they were so affordable.
And honestly, if you had like $1,200, you could make one and get it done.
Right.
You can't. Yeah. That's not the case now.
Right.
I get it. Like I think it's legit, especially if it's punk and it's political and it's lefty. Like, and yeah, if you're not thinking about how much money regular people have or kids have when we were kids, like, yeah, we wouldn't have. I got all the good records I had because they were $2.99 with a hole punched in them because they were going to put them out to pasture.
Yeah,
I couldn't have afforded it. If that was now and every single thing was $40, I wouldn't have like any of my own shit. I couldn't afford it. But I'm working running like a record store inside a store, and I won't order stuff that has to be a certain amount of expensive to begin with. And I hate it, but 7 inches, if they're going to be more than like, have to be more than like $15, unless it's from a band and they're making it themselves in a really small run, so it has to be kind of expensive. But at least it's going right to the people that are doing it. But yeah, it's weird for hardcore, especially. I can't get used to it. I can't buy stuff if it's more than like $12 or $15 for a 7-inch. It seems weird.
Yeah.
I think that's a legitimate gripe.
All the comments from all these old motherfuckers.
Yeah, we're kind of showing our age a little bit. Let's move on.
We have back, and we do have back end
motherfuckers that are commenting or whatever. It's like you're also old, bitch.
Well, you must have a lot more money than we do. I don't know.
Yeah.
What do you think, like, the youngest person on the show is? It can't be anyone.
Well,
they've got to be like mid-30s or older.
If anyone's in their 40s, that's sort of the young.
Yeah, that's the young.
You're the babies now. Yeah.
You know, like Bill Malloy, he's the young man on the. Mikey Kent is from Public Acid. He's pretty young too. Anyway, I think my next pick is going to be a divisive pick. People are going to either like wince and grimace and complain, or they're going to be like, "Oh, that one. Haven't seen that for a while. That's a lost classic. Let's see what happens."
Okay, yeah.
Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens.
Right.
Obviously, of course, I'm on the. I love this record. I like it. I just rebought it actually. I found it used. And I was like, man, I'd forgotten about this record. I used to have it like back in the late 80s, and yeah, let's buy it. And it was super cheap. DC.
Yeah.
Olive Tree Records.
Oh, is it the first HR 12-inch?
Exactly.
Yes, I love that. I love this record. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, hell yeah. This is a great record.
Anybody else is enthusiastic? This is me and Ebro about this record.
Wow.
This is a wild
the other
record.
people on this podcast are posers and don't. You guys know the first HR 12-inch. This is a fucking classic. Come on.
This is a wild record. It's like the alpha side and the omega side, right? So the alpha side is like the hardcore side.
Yeah.
And the omega side is like the sort of Santana and like jazz fusion and sort of reggae side. But it's all fucking great.
Yeah, it is. It's great. Yeah. It's like the hardcore shit is awesome on it. Yeah. Like
I did not know that.
Give me back my marijuana. What?
I didn't know that existed and had a hardcore
Who backs
side.
HR on this record?
So go on.
I actually, you know what? Okay. I do know who the guitar player is, and he's like the secret weapon, and I don't know enough. Like they've got this ripping guitar player that has a sort of psychedelic, almost like jazz fusion, like tone. He just like rips guitar solos over the whole record, and it's fucking amazing. Huh. People hate this. David Byers is the guitar player.
Yeah, come on. Who? So basically, this is like when HR quit Bad Brains or whatever, like because he wanted to try and whatever do something that wasn't like hardcore, but I mean this is like it's still hardcore or whatever. It's like it basically sounds kind of like Lost Bad Brains shit. It's really good. Yeah.
I was gonna say this. It's like, okay, if I said like this is better than like Eye Against Eye, people will not trust my taste, so I won't say that. But I will say that there's a couple of songs on here that are better than anything on Eye Against Eye.
Yeah, really? I could hear that. Yeah,
I mean,
especially like the opening, like
aggro, like Eye Against Eye.
The song "It'll Be Alright." The song "It'll Be Alright." That song is unhinged. It's
that's that actually. Like, punch to the face. Like I know Jeff is commenting on this or whatever, but punch to the face we covered, it'll be all right.
Really?
Yeah, like it's like no one knew it, of course, but it's like I love that. I mean that's the thing. It's like listen, like it just sounds, like it's like Bad Brains, except the guitars is like doing even more like weird jazz fusion shit over it or whatever. But it's like fast, like it's like a hard.
And the production is like, for me, it's nicer than Eye Against Eye.
Oh no, yeah, because it's not as like sterile sounding. And I love Eye Against Eye, but
I do
like,
too.
Loose
The way it sounds,
it's like kind of psychedelic and loose, and loud.
What
the A side is like, I think anybody would like the B side is.
I think it came out 84, 85, right?
It's 85.
That's 80. Oh wow.
Yeah,
it came out. Okay, it came out on Olive Tree was HR's only.
Yeah, and then SST put it out
SST
again later on, but
did it in 87. So
yeah.
Oh, okay. So how many HR records are there then? Is there just the one that has?
There's a lot, but this is the one that you need to like if you're going to check out.
This is the one though.
HR, that's
the point of entry for HR.
This is the point of entry, and probably the point of exit as well.
Yeah, probably is, because like other shit is more like reggae and kind of not.
Well, the funny thing is, there's only like one reggae song on this, which is like
no. I'm just saying like on the later records, on the records after this one. This one is the one that kind of more like a hardcore record or whatever. So, but
wow.
Yeah.
That's
honestly, it's just worth the $20 or the $15 for the A side if you don't like the B side. I like the B side.
Yeah,
I like Santana and jazz fusion. So
yeah. No, I mean it's definitely worth checking out. It's kind of like, and it's funny because it's like I don't know, like I couldn't see hearing that and someone being like, oh, that sucks or whatever, or like why like someone wouldn't like that if you like Bad Brains and you like the. That this is a good record, like it's like the later HR solo records. Yes, I can see why people don't like those or whatever if they're not into that. This is like this.
And look at him, it's like camouflage, fucking
And I
want to say, like his vocals he's at the top of his game on this record.
Yeah, it's like it's super. Yeah, and then
really,
the song.
How's the drumming on it?
About drumming's amazing.
Marijuana.
Drumming's fucking wild. It's great. So,
I don't remember. Does Earl play drums on it?
I think it might be.
I think
there's no insert, so I don't know like who plays.
So I think it's basically it's when like HR and Earl left Bad Brains or whatever, and then they were gonna do Peace Train or Zion Train or whatever the fuck. Like it was like supposed to be not like hardcore, but then this record came out and it was like side A is like hardcore or whatever, and then it is kind of more there's whatever some psychedelic kind of things going on, but it's like it's still it's a cool record. I don't know. I love like the Bad Brains are my favorite band, so it's kind of like maybe I'm more forgiving with shit, but to me this is you hear that and that's like it's good catchy hardcore shit.
Well, it's like it's fucking, especially that I said it already, but that song "It'll Be Alright," unbelievable. It's
wow.
Right.
I remember you guys talking about this band and stuff. Well, I know John's been a fan of them for years and stuff like that.
Well, so me and Jeff, we see eye to eye on that and we talk on it or whatever. And
you're not eye against eye on that issue.
We're not eye against that. Me and Babylon, don't.
Just as a very quick footnote to this record, because I remembered it was on Olive Tree. I was like, Olive Tree, like what else did he put out? And I remembered I had this compilation that only came out on cassette in the States, but it came out on vinyl in the UK. And I'll quickly show it. Well, won't spend too much time on it, but this is the DC Rocks.
I don't even know what's
wow.
What song?
It's got that song going. It's got the first song is the HR. It'll Be Alright. It's got all these other bands that I've not heard of. It's got Scythian, The Press Mob, Revelation, Outrage, INICU, Dove.
And it's like Dove.
It's a lot of like kind of experimental. It's like even further away from like DC hardcore is than like the Revolution Summer stuff is. It's super, like funk experimental music, but it's like HR's thing that he put together and released on a cassette tape like in 1986 or.
I like how they spelled rocks with an X.
Right.
That's just good marketing.
that really means that it's like it's not just rocking, it is extra rocking. It's rock.
It's got like, it looks like it's like a band from the LA Strip or something, but it's not. It's like
maybe
froggy,
they're
funky,
trying to
DC
like appeal to like some cock rock kind of like rock. Yeah, right.
You know what it is like? It's a little bit like, you remember like bands like King Face and like Late Beefeater. It's even more like experimental and kind of funky and like dubby and anyway. This only got issued on vinyl in the UK.
But I don't think I even had heard of that or whatever.
Like Chop put out on a cassette tape.
Yeah, that's interesting.
It looks like it belongs on cassette tape. Like when you spell rocks with an X, like that's cassette tape material from the late 80s. Absolutely.
He was on fire, man, doing this and putting out this compilation, you know?
Yeah, right. He's like, that, and then
would you recommend it? Would you recommend it to someone if I enjoy blowing bubbles? Would I like that record?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Now, yes. Now, at the time, no. And now,
in hindsight, wow, that's neat. I wouldn't have expected, like even the reggae side of the original Bad Brains. Like I love Ija, all that stuff. That kind of didn't lose me, but I'll listen to good dub and reggae if I want to. I'm not gonna get. It's not where it's coming from.
So I mean, if you don't qualify as good dub and reggae, is what I'm hearing.
I don't think that their reggae side is like that good as reggae when you're the Bad Brains from being the Bad Brains.
No, but I do like
go on record.
I like the songs that are on Rock for Light and the self-titled cassette. I like the reggae songs on those. But yes,
you skip right over those.
That's not like if someone's like, oh, I'm gonna go listen to some reggae, it's like they're not gonna bust that out at first. But I like those songs, so that's
I started
listening to Bad Brains. I skip right over the reggae songs. I'm sorry, they don't.
Yeah, because
they don't
grab
me.
Never in my life. So it makes sense. So
I don't know if that's the barrier of my enjoyment necessarily.
No, I think that it is.
For the purpose of this, we'll just go with that.
Yeah.
Let's move on. All right, Chris, what's your fourth pick? What you got?
Okay.
Yeah.
Here's a piece of British weirdo sludge that I'm almost certain is probably never come up here. Do you know this record? Todd, Purity Pledge. Anybody? Todd. UK band. They were on Southern.
They're called Todd?
Todd. Yeah.
Is it just one dude?
it's just this guy.
It's
Todd.
like the British version of Tad.
Todd.
It's Todd. It's like they were on Southern. They were a 3-piece. This record's called Purity Pledge. Dan from Cursed, our bass player, actually kind of got me. He always came through with really interesting shit I'd never heard of, and it was really good. I don't know. It's just got that weird John Belushi-like energy to it. It's just like
Todd Belushi.
It's like Todd Belushi. Yeah. No, it feels like it's. I don't know. You know, as a teetotaling man, you know when things feel like a drunken degenerating into a brawl in a way that's so fucking fun. It's just got this really neat sludgy, discordant. It wouldn't be out of place on like an amphetamine reptile kind of world, but it's just a little more like asshole-ish or something kind of fun. They were in a band afterwards called Shit and Shine. I don't know if that means anything to anybody here, but okay, fair enough. I never heard shit about them again. Look, Southern did this.
What year did it come up?
This guy, 2004.
Okay, so it was a newer. I thought it was like an older.
Yeah. It's just I can't. It's just noisy and just like kind of sludgy. I think they're a 3-piece. It just doesn't sound like anything else I can think of, man. It just it took forever to find this. You ever have a record and everybody in your band on a tour gets into it and they all find it before you do? Burning Love was on tour and I was playing this and everybody's like, what is that? And then somehow they would one by one find it and I wouldn't. And then End of an Ear, I did find it for $7.99. End of an Ear.
Nice.
$7.99, like a long player should be.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
even $10.
Yeah, sure.
Well,
I'd go as high as 10.
But like $7.99, someone's gonna buy that. You know what I'm saying? If it's $40, like Todd sitting in the fucking bin. Then
this thing is probably in bins of the world, but it's gold, man. It's awesome.
Right on.
Yeah. Yeah, right on. That's really it for Todd. Over to you.
Todd Kelly.
All right.
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
Right.
Ebro. All right, hold up.
Fourth pick.
All right. So, yeah, I don't know. I just got in a mood lately and, and listened to Sheer Terror. Thanks for nothing.
Wow.
The second Sheer Terror record. It's I don't know. Like, you know, it basically like I remember I saw them. They did a tour with. I think it was maybe the first time that they played out here or whatever. It would have been it was in the early 90s and shit, like around the time that this came out. And they were just like Paul Bearer, the singer, would just, it was all like skinheads fighting long hairs and shit. But I remember he was just like a total smart ass and just was saying stuff that was actually really funny or whatever. And just kind of like, you know, taking the piss out of people that were like taking themselves too seriously or whatever. And it was cool. But also I really like the first two Sheer Terror records a lot. There's like a huge like Celtic Frost influence or whatever that, you know, it's like on the first record especially, it's super pronounced. On this one, it's there, but not as much. It's kind of, this one's like a little bit more rock and roll or whatever. But I don't know. Like, it just, I know this record, like, really, like, at the time, a lot of people I know what kind of turned them off. Like, they weren't, like, feeling it. But, like, I don't know. It always kind of stuck with me. I liked it. I just think it's, like, it's catchy. They do stuff where they kind of, like, you know, obviously he, is into, I think, like most of it into a bunch of like kind of death rock and like goth shit too when he does like the crooning stuff or whatever over the songs. But it's cool. Like I don't know. Like I always think I think the songs are catchy. I think the lyrics are like, you know, yeah, there's some offensive parts or whatever, but then there's stuff that's like that I would say are actually like pretty good and funny or whatever. Like, you know, but I think and then they do, what is it, like a Jethro Tull? I forget. They cover Hymn 43, but I don't remember if it's is it Jethro Tull?
I haven't listened to that record for so long. I can't remember.
I don't know. You know, it's like an old rock song or whatever. So it's kind of, you know, just it's but yeah, I always liked this record. So it just kind of, I don't know. Like I just got a feeling of listening to it lately, and so I've been rocking it lately or whatever. But I always thought, you know, like I also like my he's on Cameo, and so someone had sent him a cameo to my friend CJ for his birthday or whatever, and he was talking about, because like I think the person told them, you know, Mike, I don't know if you, Cameo is like basically it's like a thing where you pay for like celebrities to give a message to someone or whatever. Okay. But then also there's people like Paul Bear's on there, and Danny Diablo, Lord Isaac, and like, you know, there's people like
mega
that, like,
celebrities.
What? Yeah, like, you know, but I mean, but there are like, you know, there are people that are actually bigger celebrities, but then it has just all different types of people on it. But like they had Paul Bearer send a cameo, so he's like, oh hey, you know, like, and saying all this stuff. It was funny, but like, you know, they talked about how he liked how CJ likes the effigies, and he's like, oh yeah, they were great, and you know, when they used to play in New York, I used to go see them, and you know, like their new record's great, and like, you know, you know, RP John Kedzie, and you know, it's like, and I also like the fact that lately too, he's been saying stuff about, you know, like he's like, if you're a Proud Boy, like you come see us, like don't fucking come see us. Go
that
fuck
meme with him on it went kind of a little bit viral, didn't it?
Yeah, that kind of thing. It's like, I'm glad that like he's actually saying something, because it's like I've seen like a long time ago or whatever, seeing a lot of like, you know, not just New York bands, but New York bands kind of just been,
but they're
like,
particularly good at it. Yeah,
letting some shit go. So it's kind of like, I'm like, at least he's just like, he's like, you don't like us, I don't give a fuck you, you know, and you know, he's just, I don't know, like, it's like good, you know. I'm glad you're saying that shit. I think again, I like this record, I like the first record, I like the demos or whatever, so it's like, you know, good for them, you know.
Yeah.
Have you seen the video? You've probably everyone's seen it, right? The Bruce Springsteen.
Oh yeah. No, I did see it. Yeah. Actually, I was just showing that to Jeff. So like, yeah,
what is it?
So
it's a song. It's for Jesse of Heart Attack, who's not doing very well.
Right.
So it's a Bruce Springsteen song, right? Written.
Well, no, it's a Jesse Malin song. Like,
okay.
So from Heart Attack. Like, yeah, I think he's been having health problems. Bruce Springsteen did a cover of it,
right?
And so there's a video where it's that song, and it's basically Paul Bearer. Like, it's like he's like goes to the bar or whatever, and then he's dancing around to the song or whatever. So yeah, it's check it out on YouTube.
It's amazing.
Yeah,
this is Paul Bearer in the Bruce Springsteen cover of this.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, if you search for like whatever Bruce Springsteen and Paul Bearer, like it'll take you to that. But yeah,
that'll be one of the top 25 results that comes up.
Yeah, it probably you're gonna get a lot of hits with that. Basically, like a lot of you're gonna have to dig through a lot, and then you'll finally get to that video. But no, like I think if you search that, it's cool. I think I don't know, like there's definitely less entertaining and worse shit that I've seen from bands or whatever. So,
I think you're right too, Ebro. I think I'm with you on that about old hardcore dudes now, considering what's actually happening now is not fucking hypothetical anymore.
Right.
And people that like their persona. I mean, Paul Bearer is like Jack Kelly caliber great at being a ball buster, but it's even better considering how bad things have been the last bunch of years with anybody from just like John Joseph. I'll say it, a fucking idiot. Like that shit's just absolutely stupid at a time like this, right? So for old dudes to get old and just assume that the rest of the world should just follow them on their crazy roller coaster rides, and no, you had it right the first time. Now you don't. So it's awesome to see. And same with Jack Kelly too. Same, like meeting and talking to that guy. It was like, this is great because your whole thing seems like this Boston ball buster dad, like drill sergeant guy, but not actually like that. And you don't need to fucking be like that to get laughs or to get likes or whatever. So
I think coming from and I mean that's the thing. It's like from the 80s and from a time before or whatever, there was people that would do stuff and say stuff to kind of get a reaction out of people or whatever, whether that's right or wrong. They were doing it
either way.
And I thought, I don't know, to be honest, maybe it's just kind of like it's always been maybe part of me to be part of I've kind of thought stuff like that can be funny or whatever.
Yeah,
even if it's something I don't agree with, it's kind of like, all right, this is what this is or whatever. So they both would say stuff to make people mad, especially because they're probably like, all right, we know this is gonna make you mad, so I'm gonna say it, to kind of even if I don't even fully know that or think that or whatever. It's like I'm gonna say this to get a rise out of you or whatever. And it's like I think but as time has gone on, there was something that Steve Albini said before he passed or whatever, that there was something I saw when he was talking about, he's like, yeah, I used to say a bunch of shit to just to do that, and then I guess thinking that things were better than they actually were or whatever. So it's as it's gotten worse and it's kind of come out, I realized I shouldn't, I don't need to do that. And that wasn't what I should have been doing or whatever. So it's kind of, I mean, it's real easy for people to be like, oh, 40 years ago, you said this and whatever, this and this and shit. But it's coming from
now is now.
Yes, exactly. It's there's, I think a lot of people like to assign ideas that have been talked about and thought about more recently and trying to paint well, when you were 18 in 1981 or whatever, and you said this or whatever, why didn't you think about all these concepts that have been talked about in colleges and shit? It's just think about that. It's not everyone was coming at it from the same page or whatever. Maybe now they understand that and they're like, okay, I need to chill out and not do that or whatever. So I think you gotta think about it like that. I don't know.
Being young and dumb and whatever is absolutely a legit thing. And also antagonizing people is a legit part of all this too, right? But it's a matter of when push comes to shove in a
Right.
way that's coming to fucking shove now. Like, if
Right.
you're still doing the shit that someone like John Joseph is doing now, like, I don't give a shit about some Maximum Rock and Roll fight about, like the Warheads and the AIDS. But that really was telling back then, even. It's like he tried to make some weird super explanation for it even back then, right? It's like, well, obviously what we meant was like, dude, just say you were 20 years old and you were freaked out because AIDS was taking over New York and it's scary, and you were young and not
and there was
rocket
warheads
scientist. And there was warheads on your doorstep.
Right. There was warheads with AIDS that were coming.
I think that was more the problem, is the AIDS were in the warheads.
Yeah, right. Right. Where do you think AIDS came from? It was from the warheads.
Let's not give any more airtime.
Wake up, cheapo.
To that guy. All right. Yes.
What?
Good question, Paul. Is it Ebro? Is it your pick next? Is it your turn?
That was mine.
That was shit. Yes, it was. All right, John. What's your next pick?
I love how you roll back every time.
Yeah. Well, you know what's behind me. Alice Donut, Untidy Suicides of Your Degenerate Children.
Oh.
I really like Alice Donut, but this to me is like their magnum opus. It's got a really dark sense of humor that kind of goes through it, and they talk about some pretty dark stuff. Like suicide comes up a lot on this album, and just like other like depression and other kind of mental illness things. And then there's like a really dark humor that goes with all of it, and the production is top notch. The bass tone is phenomenal. The playing's great. They're kind of like an art rocky noise rock post-hardcore band, and this album is really, really, really good.
I saw them in England like back in the late 80s. It was kind of wild. It's very kind of like trippy, like weird and psychedelic, and wasn't pretty ready for it back then.
Yeah.
I
haven't listened to them, I think, basically since I think I heard them like it must have been in the late 80s or whatever, like early 90s possibly.
Yeah, that's when they were like
it might have been before that record even came out. So it's like I just remember hearing them like, oh, it just wasn't, it kind of went over my head or whatever. So
was that Alternative Tentacles?
Yes.
It is, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, I think they put all their stuff on Alternative Tentacles, but
yeah,
I could be wrong, or,
Yes, I think that's right. At least like when they're in their original run. They reformed at some point in the 2000s for a while anyways, and they did another record on Alternative Tentacles. They might have self-released a record or two also. I'm not familiar with like when they reformed. But like this album has some really great songs on it.
What year did it come out?
I think 92.
Okay. Yeah.
I think.
Great front person, if I remember. I always sort of lump them and the False Prophets in together, maybe wrongly so. They're just like, punk bands on Alternative Tentacles who are doing way more than just like punk, very arty.
Yeah, they were. Some of their stuff is kind of almost goofy, but this is overall, it's got kind of more of a somber tone to it. This album in particular is kind of a somber tone to it. And it's, again, this isn't like looking out the window today, I couldn't tell what time it was all day long. Like, I don't even think the street lights turned off because like the clouds were so low and gray all day. It's like it could be 7 a.m. It could be 1 p.m. I didn't know. And like this time of year, like, I don't know. I listen to that's when I like to listen to like the kind of like darker, more weird shit, So like this is another record that comes out a lot like in the winter months for me. And it has consistently, since I first heard it. So, but like I think it's a really good record. I don't like the rest. They have good songs on their other albums, but I'd say this whole album, like front to back, is really good. So
cool, nice.
Yep.
Yeah, I remember them being kind of pretty like mind blowing when I saw them live in Bristol.
They were probably like a little bit like Butthole Surfers, I would imagine, kind of.
A bit kind of psychedelic and trippy kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like weird and intense and
and I couldn't understand what the singer was sort of saying between songs, you know. Yeah.
But yeah, they did some really great records, but I think Untidy Suicides of Your Degenerate Children is like
favorite one.
That's what I suggest. If you're gonna listen to one Alice Stone record in your life, make it that one.
All right, cool.
Well, I was gonna listen to just one, so I guess I'll listen.
So make it this one.
Make it that one.
This one right here with
fire that together with
wearing like women's underwear flying in a purple sky. You'll love it. I promise.
What's the
like
degenerate
noisy parts?
What's the one you just said to start with? If I was gonna, I don't hardly remember. What were you this? What's it called?
The Untidy Suicides of Your Degenerate Children.
Cool. Thank you.
There you go.
Awesome. I got homework.
If I would say to you, Wicked Witch, band name, Chaos, name of the record, what might you be thinking?
Wicked Witch, the record label or the band?
The band. It's actually kind of one guy. Actually, we're going back to DC.
So not Castle Rat.
Check out this wild character. Check out this dude. This is Wicked Witch. Here he is.
Oh, that thing. Yeah.
That looks cool.
This thing.
I don't know what that is. That looks like.
Let me attempt to kind of explain what is going on here. We're going back to like DC 83 to 85. This is called Chaos. Actually 78 to 86, but the 78 is a bit of a we'll get to that later. Wow. Basically, this stuff was like 83 to 85. It's this one guy from DC called Richard Sims, who was making this sort of futuristic, like sleazy, experimental funk mixed with like early hip hop, psychedelic, like tons of like ripping guitar solos. It's like kind of funkadelic meets Sun Ra meets Hendrix kind of shit, like by himself whilst looking like this in Washington DC in like 1983. It's pretty wild stuff. All like DIY self-released singles back then.
Oh, awesome.
EM Records from Osaka, right here in Osaka, like dug up this stuff and put it out on this sort of like collection.
Okay.
Wicked Witch, Chaos, 78 to 86. The 78 thing is weird. It's like a song for another band that he was in, but that song is like way more funk.
Yeah.
That's like the worst song on the record. The other stuff is just like unhinged, like psychedelic hip hop beats, funk, ripping guitar solos, wild. It's like Prince never sort of came out of his bedroom, you know. It's like he didn't make it past the first demo.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's wild.
So when did the record come out then?
This came out in 2008. This like particular collection, but the original singles you can probably still get like the original singles for money, but like whatever.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
You know what? It's funny because I was thinking, I just showed that DC Rocks thing, right? I was wondering, were those bands kind of influenced by this guy?
Yeah.
This kind of outsider, like funk, weird experimental stuff. I don't know. So I looked into it, and I found out, and I saw that he recorded this stuff at a place called No Evil Studios in DC.
Okay.
Guess who recorded at No Evil Studios in DC?
All the bands on DC Rocks.
No, only one. Well, actually, HR.
Oh, shit. Okay.
He recorded his vocals for the I and I Survive 12-inch.
Oh, right on.
Studio. Only him. Like, only the vocals. It kind of all ties in together. It's kind of funny. I didn't expect that when I was looking this up. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Look at this.
I'm down with the cover. It's like, I definitely need to check that out. So
it's wild. I mean, the first song, like, it's kind of, the beat is so disjointed that it doesn't really have a beat.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy. And then it kind of gets super funky, these Hendrix like guitar solos come out like.
Yeah,
he was just doing his own thing, man. Like,
oh yeah. It looks like if you were doing that in '78, then that looks like he was doing his own thing. Yeah,
that like it's like he's got like all the studded wristbands on and like like
Rick James vibe.
Yeah,
it's pretty wild. I'm lucky because it came out.
I mean, the cover looks great.
Yeah.
Like it's definitely eye catching. Like,
But this is actually the cover of like one of the 7 inches.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah, they just reproduced the cover of like.
Okay.
Yeah. I know. It's pretty interesting stuff.
Yeah, right on. Yeah, no, I'm check it out.
I'm interested to hear what that's like.
Yeah.
That's my last pick, Wicked Witch. It's kind of crazy that he called himself Wicked Witch and everything. I don't know. It's just great vibes on this record.
Yeah. No, that's cool.
That's my last pick.
That's a good one.
I got through that one. That's a tough one to kind of explain, because I
Well, no, and also, since we haven't heard it, we're just like, I mean, from the cover, it looks like that's something I want to listen to.
Yeah,
but I haven't heard it yet.
It's a wild ride. All right, Chris, what's your last pick?
All right, last one, and I say this because this is probably my favorite, like hardcore record of the last many years. But I know this is like years 2017 or so, 18, sometime just before the pandemic. But I honestly am not. I'm still not over it. Sometimes the record hits like it's just good. It's good until further notice. Like I can't see hardcore being much better than this. All of Chris Ulsh's bands, from KOS, Mammoth Grinder, all like his time in Power Trip, everything that dude touches is great. And this is honestly the best of it, I think. For me, I don't know. What's everybody think of that one?
I was just thinking because I forgot to mention that band when I was going through the Innumerable Forms.
Yeah.
He was in that band too.
Does he play in Innumerable Forms too?
Yes, the drummer, Chris.
Oh, right, he's played drum.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's just good at friggin' everything, man. Mammoth Grinder's great. They're great. KOS is great. He was drumming at Devil Master. His stuff with them was great. But no, this thing is just like unhinged fast. Like that. There's that instrumental song. I don't know if it's the last or one of the last ones, but I'd say that's on Nazi Burning Man is probably my favorite on this. Other than that, Wild. I think it's the last song. It's just like insane instrumental. That's just like noodly in the. I guess like a crazy Japanese, like in the way that Integrity, Melnick era Integrity stuff is vibing on crazy Japanese shredding. It just like starts and the entire way through it doesn't stop to like a ludicrous amount of, I don't know. I love it. So yeah, that's my last. It's never gonna not be great. I don't think to me. I can't wear it out, and it's been however long since this came out. So.
Yeah, actually, I don't think I even heard that one or whatever. I've heard like some of their other records, but yeah, I need to check it out too.
Yeah, it's the best of the bunch, I think. But
right on.
Yeah, they're good across the board.
Did they break up shortly after that came out? Because I don't feel like
I think so. I think this is was it Beach Impediment did this one?
Yeah, Beach
Impediment. 540. I think they were on Beach Impediment otherwise. But yeah, I don't think I think this is was it the last thing they did, maybe? Somebody can correct us. What my old band.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
I think anyway. I don't remember them
order of their discography.
Yeah, I don't remember
I feel like
other records after that though by them.
No, I think that it might have been it, but that's
too bad.
It just goes and goes and goes and goes. It's wild.
Unhinged hardcore. Great band.
Yeah.
540 is Timmy's label, right? Timmy Chaos in Texas.
Yeah. That would make sense. Yeah.
Timmy put that out and put out like he put out a couple things or whatever like on that label. So yeah.
He knows his shit.
Cool.
Yeah.
Let's finish with some hardcore.
Yeah. Seemed appropriate.
keep the viewership happy.
Right. Yeah. Hey, so this dude is asking why specifically.
Why do you like it?
Why do you like it?
Why do you like it?
I just said all that shit. I thought I was pretty clear. It shreds.
it's funky enough for them, and you know, it's got a.
And you know what? The reggae side is just really fucking good.
It's that's the reggae that Chris is looking for.
That's right. It goes like Burning Spear, Impalers. Yes.
Burning Man.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right, Ebro, what's your last pick?
All right. So
what you got?
You know, there was a couple of things, but yeah, well, but I'm gonna bust out the last one, the first LP, which is the fucking classic, and you know, so they played in Chicago last year or whatever, and they haven't played here in a long time, and they played like they did a tour of Soul Side or whatever, and there wasn't a whole lot of people there, but they fucking tore it up. They were still great. They like played like there was a million people there or whatever. They put on a show, and they, you know, it was like and like the new record I don't love. Like I'm kind of go back and forth, but like live, I think those songs were cool. Like they played, and they also played songs off this first record. Wow. Now this first record I fucking love. It's like, you know, it's super catchy. Like the drumming on is great. RP Kent Stacks. You know, the lyrics are good. Like, well, outside of like there's one or two songs it's a little like, you know, like hygiene, you need to chill out a little bit. Whatever.
Pete Starr is like Mr. like rock and roll, isn't he? He's sort of like a bit of a sort of Robert Plant kind of a figure, you know.
Kind of, but like you know, they weren't now at least like they weren't like doing that or whatever. You know, I mean, like they put on a show though. You know, it's like it was kind of like a rock and roll show or whatever, but it was like. But no, I love this record. Like it's just super catchy, hardcore with like, you know, some other influences too that come in, but it's like, yeah, the songs are catchy, you know, like it's got really good songs on it. So yeah, and it's strange to me how much the like this record, especially when you talk about like older Discord shit, that like it is kind of like not, you know, I mean, a little underappreciated maybe, like, you know, maybe it's because it came out like a tiny bit later than like some of the other stuff or whatever, but it's like that this is just as great as like, you know, all the other shit that was coming out at that time, or, you know, 83. It's a great record. So
it's phenomenal. So
yeah,
I just like that. I could feel it, like it has that sort of rock backbone to it, which they kind of explore like more and more as they went further along. But
yeah, right. Well, yeah, no, they definitely got rockier as the in the later records or whatever, and then into the 90s or whatever. But yeah, no, this one it's like these songs are just getting your head super easy or whatever. You know, it's like have really great choruses to sing along to, and it's just, you know, and I was just like, you know, I wasn't sure exactly like, okay, how is this going to come across in 2024? But that show was great, man. They blew it away. Or yeah, they were so good. So it was, you know, that's great to see, you know, that they're still a great band, and they're, you know, like definitely like go check them out if you get a chance or whatever. So I'm hoping they, you know, will come back again, because it's like, you know, it's cool to see that them and Soul Side and, you know, these bands are still doing it or whatever, and they're doing it for that, you know, love of wanting to create music. It's like they weren't like bummed out that there weren't a lot of people there or whatever. They put on a good show. So, you know.
Where did they play?
They played at Sleeping Village.
Oh, I'm not familiar with that place.
Yeah, it's a spot on Belmont that like it's kind of, you know, it's been there like a couple years or whatever, but you know, I've seen a couple of shows there. It was mainly like I saw Soul Side there before or whatever. I know like Negative Approach played with High on Fire there, and you know they've had
I remember that tour.
Yeah, they've had a couple different shows there and stuff, but you know, it's actually it's not a bad spot. It's a nice spot. It's kind of like a big concrete room or whatever, which is kind of weird, but it's like, you know, it's not real big, but it's like big enough that, you know, I haven't been to a show that's been packed, so that might be annoying, but it's been fun, you know.
Nice. That's a classic, absolute classic. All
All right, John.
John,
Is it my turn?
the show with you.
One? Oh. Zoloft Smile by 16. I think it's their 4th album. 16 are great. They do like the fucking sludgy, hardcore, groove, noise rock. I don't know. It's good. The lyrics are fucking great. The riffs are great. The production on this particular, I mean, none of them have bad production. This album I like very much. I feel like it's kind of like their most commercial output to this point. But it's not commercial sounding really, but you know, it's just like they're taking a little bit more chances with some of their production choices and stuff. And the songs are great. It's got the song Damone on it, which is like all lines from like Fast Times at Ridgemont High and shit. And it's like all the songs are good. And like the lyrics, you can tell he's like writing about like side effects of medications and stuff, presumably that he's taking and stuff. And it's just emotionally, like the lyrics are very raw and the riffs are fucking fantastic. Like it's got Phil Vera and fucking Bobby Ferry on it. Like they're two like really great guitar players. It's a fantastic record. And I don't think it got released I don't know if it got released in the United States. The record I have is on a German label, and I think it got released in Europe and Japan. I don't know. It's not.
I think it might have been CD only in the States.
Could have been. I don't think it got released. It didn't come out on Pessimizer Theologian, at least, like their other couple records did. But it's fantastic. Like 16 is so great, and this record is just really, really, really good.
It's like a more of a sort of grimy, dangerous version of Cavity in a way. It's like
it's in that world for sure.
Yeah,
it's like sludgy, but it's not too slow. You know what I mean? They have like good grooves and
What year did it come out again? Because I remember it coming out.
It came out in the early 2000s, but I think it was recorded like in '98, and I think it came out a couple years after it was recorded. I think. Yeah,
because we actually we played Ruination. We played with them in 2001. We played with them in LA, them and Blast or whatever. So
they were on that. That's
you don't remember that shit. Yeah, we played it.
I remember Blast. I don't remember them in that.
16. Yeah, it was like 16 Blast and us or whatever, which is kind of
that's a fucking great lineup.
It was cool.
Played with them a few years later in I think the Middle East in Boston or Cambridge. Cursed and they play and they were devastatingly good. Their records are good. I've also been on Zoloft and it fucking sucks. So I imagine that from remembering what they sounded like, I'm like, that's a pretty good approximation of that.
Zoloft's
what is the style?
Huh?
Zoloft's kind of a Xanax kind of.
Oh my god, it was total dissociative kind of like. You don't want to kill yourself because you don't want anything because you don't feel anything. Doesn't count as fixing a problem. I don't think anymore.
Can you show us the Zoloft smile then? Like what is the Zoloft smile?
Yeah,
just that sort of like
like right up
the tragedy comedy face. It's just blank. It's glazed. It's glazed over. But they're a killer band. You're right. They are a lot along the lines of something like Cavity.
That kind of fits in with Cavity, right? Yeah,
there's a real groove and sludge thing happening here tonight, mixed in with the hard.
Yeah, it's great. Nice, great picks. Absolutely great.
Yeah.
We've got Paul wants us to do the random pick game. We haven't done the random pick game. Does anybody want to do the random pick game?
I have a random. I have enough records on hand to do a random.
We'll do it quick though, because we're at the
Ooh, I got one.
Oh shit!
Oh fuck! That's such a great record.
Fuck yeah, it is. All their shit. They're one of those bands like Complications, Born Dead Icons guys. You don't see them forever, and then suddenly they're just totally still playing, and they're still great.
Yeah,
this rules. What do you got?
Ebro's got a kind of a.
I saw them at Fireside Bowl, and they were killer.
I don't know them, but I know of them.
They're kind of like. Have you heard this band Kiss? They're kind of like
They're like that.
Yeah, they're like Kiss. No, I mean,
Okay.
no.
Looks
This
scary.
is a classic. I luckily pulled
That
out
is.
a
That's
classic.
a fantastic record.
Good band. All right, John, you do yours. I'll do mine, and then we'll wrap up the show. What's your random?
The No Escape 90 to 93 record that just came out.
Yeah.
Fucking
awesome.
It's remixed and remastered, and like the album, which I thought kind of sucked, actually sounds pretty good on this.
It sounds better on vinyl than it did on CD or whatever. Yeah, because it's like I saw them in '92 or whatever. They did a tour and they
with Worlds Collide.
Yeah, so like they were awesome at that, and I always liked the demo and I liked the split with Turning Point or whatever. But so when the CD came out and it had the newer songs, I'm just like, I don't know. But then like getting this, you know, because I was actually thinking about showing that too. But that's really good. It sounds much better than it did on the CD or whatever. And it's also cool
I tried to get into the CD before and I couldn't.
It's cool to have the demo on vinyl too. So
the demo's really good.
That guy as a singer is like an all-time template.
Yeah, he's like the best guy of the '90s, I would say. Like
primo seething. He's great.
Yeah.
He can seethe.
He's really good.
Wow.
I don't know exactly what mine's going to be. I was like, Ebro knows, like I was doing like a Japanese hardcore, like 80s Japanese hardcore compilation listening session last night. So I know that all of the records up here are like Japanese hardcore compilation. So let's see what comes out. Okay. This is all that's coming out. Hang the Sucker.
Oh shit. Yeah.
Volume 2.
Yep. That's a jam.
Death Side's the best band on this. Hands down. It's actually
Mad Complex
rough because Death Side is so good that the other three bands sort of it's still great though. But
that's
great.
Yeah, Mad Complex and Good On are awesome too. Yeah,
came out on Kagai Musu Records, which is Zigyaku, who was in Bastard and Judgment later on. This is on his label.
Yeah, right on. I never knew that actually. I didn't know that was his label.
Yeah, it was his label. So
right on.
Wow.
There you go.
That's cool.
If you took Death Side off that comp with the other three bands, be pretty good. Or
it's just Death Side is so amazing. Anything
it's a good comp. Like the other two are good too. Yeah, it's cool. But
but they should have put Death Side last. But it's not the only time where Death Side kind of steals a compilation record. It happens a couple of times, but
wow,
that's my last pick. That was a great show.
Yeah,
fantastic show. Actually,
thank you.
I had a fucking great time. I hope all you guys will be back again.
That was awesome.
Sooner than later.
Yeah.
Thanks,
good job, John and Chris.
What?
I said good job, John and
Chris. Good job.
That's cool. You were the meat. We were the bread.
Yes.
So it's all good. You were the real meat.
Let me just announce next week's show. We actually briefly mentioned this band, Canadian band, Graham from Homefront.
Right on.
Coming on next week. Greg from Shit coming on next week.
Oh no shit.
Yes.
Shit. Yes.
Tom Ellis, a British man now residing in Canada.
Here in Toronto,
Here in Toronto from
They allow that?
Canadians, kind of a Canadian special.
In certain circumstances. We have to all
I thought Canadians went to England to live. I didn't know that they came from the other side of the pond to Canada.
No, it's weird.
Well, they are a province of England, right?
For now. So we're one of the states.
Well, until you become the 51st state.
The biggest state.
Dude.
Right.
I'll see you really soon because I won't need a passport or a border anymore.
Yeah, right. I'm just gonna walk to your house. It's
perfect.
All right.
It's all America. So
we'll probably keep on chatting after the cameras stop rolling.
All right.
So until next time, to everyone next week.
Thank you very much, man.
Stay healthy.
Take it easy.